Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Court-Martail Podcast. Introducing your host for this evening first. He is the host with the most from the West Coast, the Bay Area Brawler, Skyler Greenberg. And his partner, he has colonized, energized, and revolutionized the podcasting wrestling world today. Your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty. And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, to a very unique edition of the Court-Martail Podcast. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here on the day of day one of WrestleMania. I know everyone's getting kind of hyped for it, but I wanted to bring you something a little bit different. We had a very unique experience here at the Court-Martail Podcast where we had two people go to two separate live shows. My friend Abizzle went to Smackdown on the 25th of March, and JoshAgeddon went with his brother, who is also a casual fan, went to the AEW Dynamite show on March the 30th, just this past Wednesday, and we have got interviews from both of these individuals regarding what they saw, what they felt, what they experienced, to see what kind of contrast we could find and see what the state of professional wrestling is from the front lines. And I'm very excited to do this, so we're going to start with Abizzle and, of course, yours truly, your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, talking about Friday Smackdown from the presence and the perspective of a very unique point of view. I am your Colonial Champion, Sean McCarty, here to bring you a terrific interview, something we have never really done before as far as having a full show be a full interview. Skyler is unfortunately off handling the most busiest NWL proceedings, so he could not make it this week. But he will be back for at least one night of the WrestleMania review. We've got two shows coming up because WrestleMania is this weekend. But what we're doing today is something more important. Because WrestleMania, all in all, we've been honest, it hasn't been that exciting. But today, we've got something that is exciting. Because my boy, the man you've heard, the myth, the legend, the one you've heard in all of the ABP spots, Abizzle, got a chance to go to a Smackdown at the Barclays Center on March 25th. And we have him here as a casual, let's say, to my smarkiness in the fandom of professional wrestling, and he's going to give us his take of what he saw, what he felt, what he dealt with. So I am very excited to introduce my man, my homie, Abizzle. How you doing, my man?
Howdy, y'all. Doing pretty darn good, my man. Just chillaxing, relaxing. Saw a very good show. I love the flips.
Well, was it really? You love the flips?
I love the flips.
How many of them did you see?
A lot.
How many of storytellings did you see?
What? Storytelling? No.
What kind of storytelling? No? None?
No storytelling. I mean, there was big hulky man smash thing in dressing room.
That's got to be Brock Lesnar.
Yes. Then Pretty Boy, followed by a man played by the Penguin?
Yes, that would be Paul Heyman. My man, Paul Heyman. So, what I want to do, AB, is we're just going to go down the whole thing of what happened. Right. And you can just give me your takes. You said you got a little bit of like video that you may want to play a little audio for if you're feeling up to it. Just your whole experience of what you felt and what you saw. Just from now, for all of the fans out there, give us a little bit of your wrestling background, because this was not the only Smackdown you've ever been to.
This is true. I've been to, I believe it was a Raw event, but this was way back in high school, so about circa maybe 2012.
Okay.
So like 10 years difference of when I saw this show here.
Well, lots changed in those 10 years.
A lot has changed in 10 years.
Yeah.
That's what I was actually going to tell you guys about. Like, going at my first ever Raw event, I wasn't as much into wrestling. I saw my friend was into it, so
sure.
I was like, I'll go check it out. It sounds cool. I like watching it here and there when it's on the TV. And then I was like, whoa. It was a real show. They put on a great show.
Yeah, there was still some believability in 2012 WWE. It was, well, it still was WWE format, which we've gone into many discussions on before on the podcast as far as being very cinematic in nature, as far as the larger-than-life people, you still felt like you had stars then.
Yeah.
Let's just get into this whole show. So, we started out this at the Barclays Center. What was your first impression like as soon as you got there, like into the building?
Honestly, it was really easy getting in and getting to the seats. They were like right there. We were up on, I think, a row or two up, something like that, like on the second floor.
Oh, like the second tier, because it's broken up into like 3 tiers, right? Like
Yep.
you've got like the really top tier, then there's the second tier, then there's all the floor seats.
Yup. So we were at the second tier in the front row of that, which is pretty cool. It was like a thin barrier of glass from falling to your doom. You know?
Well, at least they give you that thin barrier of glass.
Yeah, if that was not there, man, I don't know how people would just be walking. Like, oh, I got my beer, I'm just chilling, here we go. Oh,
How much was beer? Did you see what the price was?
I got a burger, some fries, and a Bud Light, and it was like $36.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Good granny.
The
I mean,
burgers.
Barclays Center, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what was funny? There was a Nathan's stand for hot dogs, and then there was a Helenials or Pelip, I don't know what the hell it is called. Sorry, New York. I don't know what the hell. It's supposed to be a famous burger New York joint since fucking 1980 something. Who knows?
Okay.
But unfortunately, that was not good. But here's the funny thing. So we went over there thinking, nah, I don't want a hot dog. I want to get a burger. Why not? They were selling the same thing at both the booths.
Of course.
But there was no one at the Nathan's booth, and everyone was at the burger booth. So I could have just went to the Nathan's booth and saved myself a lot of time waiting in line. Very attitudey waitress lady bringing in the order. Dry burger, dry fries. The Nathan's fries.
Welcome to the Gordon Ramsay version of the Court-Martail podcast.
Yo, the Nathan's fries were amazing. They were perfect. They were very good.
Nathan's hardly disappoints.
And the beer was expensive and cold, so I can't complain.
How do you have a number on the beer? Because I remember when we once went to Fenway to go see a concert, and a Miller Lite was like $11.25.
It was like $12 or $13.
Oh my god!
For this Bud Light,
Folks,
it wasn't filled to the top.
Is a single cup of beer, plastic cup of beer, worth that amount of money?
I could have got a 12-pack of Bud Light.
Yeah, seriously, for that exact same, or cheaper.
Yeah.
Or cheaper. Well, in any case, now that we're back to the wrestling part of this. Now that the Barclays Center is now dead and buried beneath our feet. No disrespect to the Nets or whoever plays there. I don't really follow. Yeah. So, SmackDown opens. You get there. How many people do you think were in the arena? Like as far as like filling the set of Barclays went.
It definitely felt packed. In the rows and area I was in, it felt rows of people because we were kind of in the middle of everybody.
Sure.
So it was like, pack to pack. The down area seemed pretty packed, sort of for the most part, but there were some empty seats and stuff. I don't think people were paying the amount of ticket prices it was to sit there for that.
Oh, sure.
Because I think it was like maybe, I don't know, for the first row, for the where we were, it was like $50. So.
Well, $50 isn't that bad, honestly, for a second tier show. I mean, it is the Barclays Center. Yeah. Which is a nice Brooklyn, but it is kind of telling that at this point, this was a company that was selling out Madison Square Garden on a regular basis. Yeah. And now they can't even sell at the Barclays Center.
I'm telling you, man.
That's really disappointing. I mean, but this is WWE. This is supposed to be like the brand of professional wrestling, and that's how low we've sunk. From literally making millions of dollars to, well, you're still making millions of dollars, but it's through the network deals and Saudi Arabian blood money. But we're not getting into that today.
We will get into commercials, though.
Well, it seemed, the whole thing, I was looking up a review of this, and it seemed like a lot of this show was just video packages.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we start the show off. The big stars are, I believe, Brock
Lesnar and
Roman Reigns.
Yes, the title unification that's happening at WrestleMania this weekend.
Everybody's excited for Brock. Everybody's excited for Roman.
Yeah.
It starts out, Brock's like, hey, I found Roman's dressing room. So he goes in there and just starts destroying stuff. He's like, oh, what a nice chair. Slams his feet down on the table, breaks the table. I was like, oh, okay, right on. And then cuts to our first match. I don't remember exactly who it was.
I will give you who it is.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
It is Jimmy Uso versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, that
with Rick Boogs probably playing the stage with the guitar and doing that.
Rocking.
Yes.
Rocking it out.
Yes, and Rick Boogs, who is like, I don't even hate Rick Boogs. I just think he's a little over dramatic. If he toned that down just like 1 or 2 notches, he could actually have something. If he didn't make a huge botch at the Royal Rumble and tried to do the same move twice and then it actually just didn't work. But
he reminded me of the guy, him and his partner. He reminded me of the guys from Family Guy, the eggs and steak. the muscle.
No, that is, yeah. So Shinsuke Nakamura, I wouldn't necessarily say is that kind of buffman.
No.
So to speak. He's definitely more of a Japanese, theme. But of course, McAfee always loses his mind when he comes out. I don't know, did they show any videos on the Tron of McAfee freaking out when Nakamura came out? Because he loves that music.
No, they just showed him popping out, and then Guitar Man was strumming away at it. And then just Nakamura was just walking up there like, hell yeah, I'm here, I freaking look so good, look at me right now. My hair is slick, I'm hopping in the ring right here, I am. This was such a fast match though. I was looking back at the videotapes and just seeing how it started out, but they came out, and then these 2 brothers came out. What is that?
Then the Usos.
Yep,
the Usos. But it's only Jimmy that's wrestling. And then, it pretty much just devolves immediately.
Mm-hmm.
It just, turns into a massive brawl. And, we don't even... And then, you mentioned to me before we actually started the podcast.
Yep.
You felt and saw commercial breaks.
Yep.
In the arena. Describe to us what a commercial break in WWE on a live show is like.
So check this out. So the Usos, they did the announcement to give us a little backstory of why they're fighting out, right?
Yeah.
So then they start running over. They start running in the stage, right? They go into attack. It's about to be a brawl. It's an all-out brawl. Here we go. Oh my gosh, we're brawling. He got punched in the head. And then everything goes dark. The guy's no longer on the ground being punched down. They go to their respective corners, and the screen pops up an ad. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin
promoting his beer. Promoting his Broken Skull beer, which is not bad, actually. I've had it a few times. It's genuinely not bad.
I was very excited to see that.
Which is cool, because you know what Stone Cold's doing at WrestleMania. So Kevin Owens, who is a man who... how do I describe Kevin Owens to a casual fan? He's a guy who's very good on the microphone. He's French-Canadian. He's large, but not beefy large. More like what I'm turning into large.
Okay.
Lardy large.
Oh.
Which I don't even hate because he's a very good wrestler. He's an incredibly good wrestler. So I don't have any knock toward him. That's just... He always looked dumpy. That's the word for it, right? And I never really cared for his ring attire because it's just shorts and a cut t-shirt.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, he was like, I hate Texas. And then Steve Austin was like, you can't say I hate Texas.
And
Kevin Owens wore a bald cap and made fun of Steve Austin on Raw. He's going on the Kevin Owens show. It's not a match, but the Kevin Owens show, which is just an interview segment, basically.
Yep.
Okay, and Stone Cold Steve Austin is going to be on the Kevin Owens show, and they're going to be in the middle of this fight thing, so they want to promote Steve Austin's beer, probably while they're doing it.
Jesus.
Because it was probably one of the qualifications for Steve Austin saying yes to whatever shenanigans are going on at WrestleMania.
You can't say that about Texas.
This is literally what this feud is about. Kevin Owens is like, I hate Texas. Steve Austin's like, you can't hate Texas, I hate you. Kevin Owens is like, come fight me. He's like, I will come be interviewed by you.
We're going to fight with our eyes.
That's right. I mean, somebody's getting stunnered. Because Kevin Owens does do the stunner now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
So that's going to be... But anyway...
So after that, after the Stone Cold interview, or Stone Cold commercial, we get an ode to The Undertaker being in the Hall of Fame. Congratulations. Yay. Well earned.
As well as we found out, by the way, just a little bit to peek in on the news, although I won't do the intro for Skyler because he's not here.
Right.
One of the interesting things that just happened is that Rick and Scott Steiner are entering the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
The Steiner brothers are entering the Hall of Fame. That is the only Hall of Fame selection I'm actually halfway interested in. I mean, of course, The Undertaker, good for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at this point, he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Charmel, I don't understand why. It's Booker T's wife.
Oh.
Queen Charmel. I mean, you saw King Booker, right? That was right around the. I mean, you saw it right around 2006, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you remember King Booker? So King, he had the crowd, all hail King Booker. He had the fake British accent, all that jazz. Queen Charmel is being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Word. Okay.
So,
hey, right on.
Short run, but weird flex. But okay, WWE,
Feel it.
whatever you'd like.
Make that Hall of Fame good.
Shucky ducky, quack quack.
We go to a SmackDown screen.
Yep.
Just blackness still. We're just kind of waiting. The wrestlers are standing out, we're chilling out, waiting. You know, I wonder if anyone got injured. You know, why they just made a pause to do that.
No, I doubt it, honestly, because they said a while back, it must have been maybe like a year and a half now, that they just weren't going to have matches in commercials. Because in case somebody gets hurt during the show, like, that messes with their whole plan because shareholders and stuff, although I don't see why deriding or depriving the live audience of an actual sensical, logical match makes any logical, sensical sense for what the whole purpose of professional wrestling is. But they don't want their people injured during the break, because then if they get injured during the break, you know, then what?
Right. Brilliant.
But
so,
it's a stupid practice. I don't agree with it, but I understand it. But still.
So then we go to then it goes to another slide with the memoriam for Shad Gaspard.
Yeah, who's getting the Warrior Award this year?
Yep.
Which is also it's basically an honorary Hall of Fame. It's part of the Hall of Fame.
And then the match finally starts back up. Oh no, I forgot. They go, yeah.
Right, before the match starts back up, they go into another interview segment.
Yeah, they go into another interview segment. I forgot about that.
And here comes Brock Lesnar.
Actually, it's the Scotsman.
No, right, it's Drew.
Yep. And oh man, then the Scotsman does his little bitty there. And then,
so you've got videos that are skipping around a little bit.
Just a little bit, because that match ended so quickly. It was like a hit, a drop, a pin, it was over. And then on to darkness and more commercials. So I actually got my video skipped right over.
Yeah, so Nakamura ends up winning that match, not that it even matters.
It was so fast.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch a video of it.
And this is the go-home show, folks. Or this is not the go-home show. This is the show before the go-home show. But still, I mean, did it feel like this match, if you, like, put it in a vacuum, would have made any sense at all to, like, please or pop a crowd or, like, make anyone in the arena actually, like, pleased at the outcome or why it was done?
No. I mean, the pin got the cheer, but, like, the fact that they cut a commercial on that match, it was such a short match, it made it feel like, what happened? It was just, they rushed on stage, they attacked, commercial, back to the lights on, they're on their opposite sides of the ring, they go at it, and then an insta-pin. And I was like, it's over. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened?
And then nothing happened, right? That was basically it. Oh, and then, of course, the traditional let's point at the WrestleMania 38 sign, like, we're coming for those titles. Yep.
So that was cool. I like the Star WrestleMania thing. That was a cool little bit there. It reminded me of my old school days playing 05 SmackDown vs. Raw, where they had the little star in the corner, and they're like, I'm going to WrestleMania.
Yeah. Oh, that's been happening for a long-ass time. WWE has made that one of their cliches going into WrestleMania season, which they have a ton of in the four cliches. And then we get more Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
And Brock Lesnar is now starting to just beat the shit out of this locker room.
Yeah, it just goes back in, the camera runs in, and they're just busting stuff. Everything is pretty much destroyed. He's just sitting there, just all happy, grinning face, just, yes. Like a bull just chilling, being happy with himself in the China shop.
And after that, that's when we actually get the Undertaker's Hall of Fame and the Shad winning the Warrior Award.
Yep.
Then we get Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
And so, describe to us what a Drew McIntyre promo is like.
Is that the Scotsman, right?
That's the Scotsman.
Well, I tell you, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and I'm going to destroy this man, because he's a fool to think that he can ever destroy me, the Scotsman, with my sword right here, and I'm standing here as my muscular self to beat the guy right here that you see. I'm the Scotsman. I got my sword. You see me right here. And you know what? At WrestleMania, when I beat this man down for being such a fool to fight me, the Scotsman, with my frickin' sword, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to beat him down. That's my impersonation of that. That's so drawn out.
You know, I honestly feel like you had more passion in your voice than Drew has had lately. Genuinely, at least from the video that you showed me before.
We were skipping through it, and it was like, he was still talking. I was like, jeez.
Yeah. And then we get the promo for Happy Corbin.
Wow, that was funny.
Tell me about Happy Corbin. I want to hear your take on this promo, because they pretty much went through the entirety of how Happy Corbin became Happy Corbin, because he was Sad Corbin before. he was just down on his luck, Corbin.
So, like, this guy's just so sad because he just lost everything somehow. And then they took his car, and he was just like, why? And then his wife left him, and then he just had no money, and then he was just dripping food on himself, just being a mess. People were just like, hey, why are you backstage? He's like, I'm a wrestler here. And that guy was just like, no. It's like, that's my face on that trailer. He's like, no, it's not. Oh, my life is so bad. He was so sad. And then he went to Las Vegas and made a bunch of money. And now that he made a bunch of money, he's super happy. So he's like, I'm really rich and I never lose. So now the Scotsman's trying to take on that undefeated.
This is such a Vince McMahon heel.
Oh, man.
This is like the most ridiculous gimmick. One of the most ridiculous gimmicks WWE has ever come up with. And honestly, it's got potential. Everybody dumps on it, but I don't hate it. Because Corbin is not doing badly with it's not his fault that this is a very cringe gimmick, but he's doing his damnedest to make it somewhat engaging.
I know.
You know, to his credit. But it's not the greatest gimmick for pro wrestling, but it's still. And then Madcap Moss, his partner, where they make dumb scripted jokes.
Yes, and they're kicking their feet up, cracking up, and just kicking knees and smacking knees and stuff. Just being all happy. He reminds me of the guy. He reminds me of the guy we saw live at the North Haven Fair when the rich kid that was the trust.
Oh, Jared Silverkite.
Yeah.
Yes, for those of you who do not know who we're talking about, which is probably most of you, Northeast Wrestling has this manager. And I'm going to give him a free shout out because I love this guy.
He was good.
Jared Silverkite is he's shorter than both of us. I think he's 5'8", wow, maybe. But he's a small, bald guy who wears suits, he's a manager for some of the wrestlers who are not that much bigger than him. But that's a different story altogether. But this guy can cut a damn promo. I've always enjoyed Jared Silverkite's promos, his heel work. He gets crowds to boo. He gets people engaged. Give this man a shot. He's another Northeast Wrestling guy, kind of like Man Scout Jake Manning, that you can see the potential in. And you can see that they really foster a good talent. They stick to core beliefs in a lot of ways. And we'll put a pin in that North Haven Fair show because I do want to get back to that now that you bring that up.
Yeah.
Not that we're going to review that whole thing, but I do want to bring that up at the end of this whole concept. Mm-hmm. So then there's another match. Ridge Holland versus King Xavier Woods.
Yeah, that was I wonder if I actually got any coverage of that.
So that was the one that Sheamus was probably out for.
Yeah.
Because that is, Ridge Holland was the guy who I was talking about who likely ended Big E's career. We hope not, but likely did.
Right, yep, Sheamus. He had a big old explosion that was very... Some of the explosions were loud.
Oh, yeah. So describe being in the arena and hearing that pyro. What's that like?
Like, I was expecting fire when I heard pyro, but there was no fire. There was no pyro. It was loud, just pops. Really loud pops. And most of the explosions were behind the main stage. So, like, you wouldn't even see them. You just hear a loud explosion. And there they are. So I'm like, I don't know why they did the explosions behind the stage where you can't see them. I never got that.
Probably because they have no actual fireworks. They're just using the audio track. Could you imagine? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
If they literally just did a giant cannon sound like the fucking War of 1812 by goddamn Tchaikovsky, that would be...
No, don't keep
They should just play that song at the beginning of every show just to know that it's going to be a whole cannon fodder worth of bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But
like there, some of the effects were cool. Some people had like the what'd you call it? Like the spark rain. Roman Reigns had a cool like flare thing behind him, which was kind of
now
cool.
Roman Reigns didn't even arrive until the last like 15 minutes of this show.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that, but that's the funniest thing because he's the Universal Champion. Everybody else has to arrive on time. Why would Roman Reigns just be like, okay, I'm just gonna show up late because I can, because I want to?
Yep.
I'm gonna be here just for the last 15 minutes.
Literally.
That makes zero sense, you know. Like, why would you not feature him at least a little bit more as your top guy?
True.
But
very true.
In any case, was there anything of interest about this match? Xavier Woods wins with a roll-up, which was not the only roll-up of the night.
Yeah, a lot of quick roll-up wins. Fruit roll-ups.
Welcome to SmackDown Television. Welcome to WWE TV.
Like,
roll-ups.
My thing is, if roll-ups worked at all in any of the SmackDown games, we would have had a lot more games in quickly. Roll-ups never
We would never have gotten the video game style matches that we do now if roll-ups worked in video games.
Roll-ups never
ridiculously, like it's a true story. Yep. You know, that's a very interesting angle to take that, but that's very true.
Yep.
That's very true. If they don't make the roll-up valuable in the video game, how are these kids supposed to know?
Yeah, literally though, man. This is bullcrap. So, like, Sheamus showed up with his two Macho Man little greaser.
Butch, formerly known as Pete Dunne.
Yep.
And Rich Holland, the career ender of Big E.
So it's the freaking...
Who I am not a fan of.
It's the Chimney Sweepers versus the New Day.
What do you think of the New Day?
They're really vibing with the video games. Freaking, what's his name's in it that I know from the past?
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi Kingston.
Former WWE champion Kofi Kingston.
So I'm like, hey, I know Kofi. I was like, hey, that's the one I would see. I saw him live 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Doing flips. He was going off. Like, the amount of stuff they were doing 10 years ago compared to now is crazy.
It's a huge difference.
They were jumping off stuff. They were... off,
AEW's got a lot of jumping off stuff, but a lot of that's nonsensical. But at least it made some semblance of sense. A good majority. There were times that they made it work. In 2012.
Like 10 years ago, they had like...
But they also had stars in 2012. They do not have stars now.
It was like athleticism. You know what I mean? Like everybody had a certain good skill. It's like this person can keenly do this, whereas these other guys are like, oh, it's a group of people. We'll get to that when the females fought. Oh, it's a group of people. I'm going to jump on all of you.
Yeah.
There we go. Athleticism. No, not even.
Yeah, and considering that happens in almost every match.
Yeah.
You know, that's... So then Cole gets a text from Roman Reigns, and then we see Reigns and Paul Heyman in the back of a limousine, because why would they have why would they have a camera in the back of their limousine?
Dude, Paul looks just like the Penguin.
Like you mean the Penguin looks like Paul Heyman?
Yeah. Yup. I just saw the movie.
You didn't take Colin Farrell.
I just saw the Batman movie.
How was it? How was it? You know, I honestly wanted to see it. I didn't get a chance to.
It honestly wasn't. It's honestly not that bad. It's like an adolescent Batman that's just... He's just freaking like... It's just some funny stuff happens where it's just like, you have no skill. You're a very not skilled Batman. You're not ready for this, but you're doing it. You're just in it. You're doing it. You're in it.
That's about as Robert Pattinson of Batman as I could possibly think.
And it worked. It really worked with everybody. And there was a dude that played the Riddler that also played this like preacher child guy in There Will Be Blood, which is like a movie from the 80s.
Huh.
And his acting role was the same acting mannerisms, vocal lines, pitches, freaking out.
Oh, some people are typecast.
That dude was super typecast, and he really played that role the same way, like, boom, boom, bookmark print.
If only he had gone to Vegas. and turned his life around.
Worked out. But yeah, it was a good movie. And the freaking Penguin looks just like that guy.
Well, Paul Heyman, of course, is a master orator. Just an incredible promo.
Yeah.
You know, one of the greatest wrestling managers of all time.
His whole shtick is now just kind of being like, sire.
Yeah, but he does it so well.
My tribal king.
Yes, my tribal chief.
My tribal chief.
And then Roman Reigns, who cuts a decent promo himself now.
Yep.
You know, he's one of the best in the game. And then here comes Ronda Rousey.
Ah, yes. I enjoyed Roman Reigns being like, Brock better not be in my dressing room when I get there.
How would you know that? How would you know? Does he have a show in his... Does he have the show on in the limousine? They should say that if he does.
He should. He really should. Wear his little t-shirt. His t-shirt's too tight.
No, that's the point. Trust me, that's the point.
Oh, and then we get into the McAfee minute, which was cool a little bit with McAfee.
Oh yes, I love the amount of Pat McAfee publicity they get. That's going to be one of the matches on WrestleMania I actually am interested in seeing. Pat McAfee versus Austin Theory.
Austin Theory ran out of nowhere and smacked McAfee in the face, and he chased him into the back rooms.
Just like some other publicity gaining stunt that just happened recently.
But this smack, you could hear the contact on the skin.
So you're saying that wrestlers did better than two people at the award show of late?
Yeah,
at actually staging a slap that looked convincing?
Bro, I was in the second row in there and I heard the smack. I was watching the smack that Will did on my phone, and all you heard was him stomp his foot during the contact of the smack.
Yep.
Air quote, smack.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Will Smith just smacked me in the face.
Unpopular opinion, folks. We're just going to call that one a work and leave it at that. Fight me in the comments. Trust me, my record's not too bad.
Ronda Rousey!
Here comes Ronda. Speaking of someone whose record is bad, amazing transition. Ronda Rousey. So, tell us what a rather large Ronda Rousey, who doesn't give a fuck about the wrestling business at all and never will because she's a phony piece of shit. So, tell us what she was like in regards to her and her feud with Charlotte Flair.
I was like, oh my god, the lady from Mortal Kombat. Oh wow! Oh wow!
Wow.
She was like, I'm here to fight.
Any way to get publicity, I guess.
I was like, oh my god, she's here. She's like, I'm here to fight you, Miss Flair.
How do you think she did in Mortal Kombat, by the way?
I didn't play the character much at all.
There you go. There you go. Can't say it any better than that, folks. You heard it here first.
So like I'm very shook that she's not the daughter of Roddy Piper.
Nope.
I'm very surprised because it was all the Rowdies. I was like, oh my god, she's the daughter of Rowdy.
Nope.
And that's why she's fighting the daughter of Ric Flair, because it's like a legend battle.
Now, see, that would have been decent.
That's what I thought.
But they can't perpetrate that kind of a story on television.
Yeah.
And Roddy's daughter did wrestle for WWE for a while. I don't know if she's still there. Oh. I don't think she is. This is why we need Skyler, because he'd be the one who'd have this right on the dot.
Yeah.
And be able to tell us, hey, this is how it happened. Where is she? He would have the facts.
Word.
You know, I really do have to appreciate Skyler for his structural stability on the show, because he is incredibly valuable as such.
It's always good to have the facts guy.
That's right. So, but he'll get back to us. Don't you worry about that.
Oh, yeah.
Moving on. So, we have got this now. This is also a video package, right? Of Ronda Rousey and Charlotte. Were they actually in the arena?
Yeah, Ronda was announced. She started talking a bit. Then they showed the video package of when because Ronda was there to battle, and then they did the video package of with the Flair daughter going in talking about yeah, I'm not gonna fight you over there. You think I'm going to come down there and fight you right now? No, I'm going to kick your butt at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
She's just like, I just really enjoy choking you out on all many occasions. Haha. I'm going to do it to you again at WrestleMania. Haha.
How did you think? Did she turn into Will Smith?
Well, now that you mention it, there
there are some similarities involved here. How did you think she did with given the written lines that she very clearly was handed?
I wanted to see him duke it out, tell you the truth.
Well, I guess that was the point. What about Charlotte? How did you think Charlotte did when she did her whole also video package?
That was Flair's daughter?
Yes.
She did okay. She reminded me of the Wicked Witch from Maleficent.
Alright, I guess that's a compliment because she is a heel. Yeah. Even though Ronda is definitely not really a babyface at this point either. Although she did, you saying she did get a babyface reaction.
Yeah, Ronda Cena.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen too, sadly. Then we get more of Lesnar destroying shit.
That smack that had across the room, then we had that happening. which was fun. Then it went to the women battles.
Well, before we get to that, the next part...
I missed something.
You did well. We have a kiss cam.
Oh, kiss cam.
Yes. We've got the championship contenders match.
Oh, what was it? Ricochet and the...
Yeah, that's Ricochet versus Angel, who used to be... oh, God. I can't even say it. I totally forgot. Skylar's going to kill me because I had this. It's not Angel Garcia. I said Angel Garcia and that's Angel Garza. Angel Garza. God damn, I miss you, Sky. You're so valuable to this podcast. So, it's Ricochet versus Angel with his kiss cam Humberto Carrillo.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think about this entrance here?
It was time for the kiss cam. No women at all trying to volunteer for it. It was just them looking around. Hey, you? No? Okay,
But
you?
the shot that they originally did on the Tron is them, the two of them in the heart.
Yes. It was like time for the kiss cam, and I was like, "Are these guys about to kiss?"
Are they gonna do it? Like,
we about to see some action here.
Which is like, not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just mixed messaging.
I mean, they're also family, so there might be something wrong with that, depending on where you're
Well,
from.
they're not family, but
the cousins.
No.
Oh, I thought
They're
they were cousins.
They're just both Latino.
They're just both Latino. That's
That's
wrong.
Vince McMahon for you.
Well, I thought they were cousins and related.
Nope.
So kiss away, boys.
Unfortunately, WWE is not capable of those kinds of things unless your name's used.
So they were just like, okay, no one wants to kiss us, and then all of a sudden, looks like, oh, a plant female is there. Oh yeah, she wants a kiss. Then they do a nice little cheek kiss, and it freezes right there, and it's just like, yay. And then they keep the picture on the bulletin screen for way too long.
What was the crowd reaction to that?
Woo!
Did it actually get a cheer?
Honestly, I will say the crowd that was there, they were bringing the heat. Even though there was like little emptier spots, they were bringing the heat. Everybody was ripped and ready to go.
Well, at least that's good to hear. That because the WrestleMania buzz still does attract a good amount of people. You know, I'm like spoiled because I'm like so out of the bubble at this point because I'm in this bubble, the Court-Martail podcast bubble.
Mm-hmm. I will say the audience definitely brought the energy. Brooklyn showed up.
Yeah, I mean, New York is always a hot venue. You know, it's like no matter where you are, you're going to have very loud fans.
Heck, I'm trying to get Abizzle and White Knux to do a show at the Barclays Center because that would bring some energy.
Well,
woo!
I guess now's as good a time as ever before Ricochet comes out and we get to this match to hit that plug.
Woo!
Now, folks, this is going to be a little bit different. You're not going to hear the script that we heard for countless weeks now.
Yeah.
And we thank you so much for listening to that and bearing through all of those with the wonderful transitions. And you see, I have come to think that maybe these two guys would have had better luck if they had had a little discography, a little bit of fun, suave music to be able to seduce these lovely women all over the world.
Yep.
But maybe they needed to just have the right artist behind them, and I bet you that you and I, of all people, know a pair of guys who might be able to do that exact kind of thing. Tell us about ABPCT. From the founder himself, Abizzle. Take this plug away, my friend. It is all you.
Pluggity plug. Have you heard about it? ABP is in your ear, talking to you right here. I'm the boy Abizzle right here with White Knux, a.k.a. Partial Modcast, Pastcast, Court-Martail Podcast.
That's the one.
That one.
That one.
Gotta give you a multiple choice so you know
That's right. You gotta keep your fans on your toes.
Making sure you're paying attention.
That's right. This is a totally different promo. You guys were not prepared for this. You're ready for AB Productions producing an industry busting artists who are capable of taking the world by storm. Not today. Not today.
Well, actually, yes, today. We're doing it all day.
We're doing it every day.
But we're not going corporate today. Today, we're giving you all a promo. Freeform. Now, check this. We got bare men. We got freaking mixed bag. We got rest stop recovering. We got a freaking versus from a college grad. We got mall flipping.
Wax Apocalypse. That's right. The 2-hour spectacular. This is the one that is the most recently released. All throughout December, we've been releasing EPs in sets of 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then finally the Wax Apocalypse dropped on December 31st. And the full album is out on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud, and we have
everywhere.
It's literally everywhere. We have an iHeartRadio now. We're being sold. We have Amazon.
You in Korea? We got that.
We have gotten global. I mean, necessarily, we are still slowly taking the world by storm, because it is the word slowly that brings us here. Because the fact of the matter is, this music is different. This music isn't going to be the music that all of the labels who give you the exact same songs over and over, the same beats, the same drum sets, the same rap styles, the same cadences. All of these people who want to give you the same copy and paste over and over again, recycled materials so that you will ingest it, they're not going to want this. Something that will break the foundation, genre bending, format redefining.
Damn right.
The way that AB Productions has been, and we're going to continue. And in fact, come May, and we don't have a certain date on it yet, but we will have it by next week probably. In May, we have the release of a single that is coming from, that is a teaser for the new album from White Knux, C'est Moi, which is the album Just a Bit More, available October 14th. And there's more coming because we have a sequel in AB's camp.
Yeah, man, we got Mixed Bag 2 coming at you. I don't remember the date, but it'll be here in a few.
November.
Oh.
We definitely have it in November. So it's coming shortly thereafter. But it's going to be, and then that's just the slight timetable, and there's much more stuff where that came from. We have the entire SoundCloud discography, which is a whole separate set of things that we can't put on the other major signs, but that was what makes them unique. Be a part of the underground shattering, earthquaking movement that is AB Productions CT, and you can find it on any major spot. Thank you very much. And we have seen a boost in numbers since we've been starting to do this podcast, both in the podcast and in our music. So thank you, each and every one of you. Keep it going. And as always, with the podcast and with the music, you got to like, you got to share, you got to subscribe, you got to hit that bell button and switch it to all, so every time we post and every time you hear about AB Production CT, you know about it.
Hell yeah.
Come enjoy a new era in entertainment.
Heck yeah. Now, the viewers can find the links below.
Right in the description. Right? They're right there, right below.
What do you know?
We even have a song. We mentioned it before. That cures limp dick energy.
Yup.
We've got an ABP Banana. We've got a love of cats.
And you know what? For wrestling fans, we got a song about The Rock.
That's right.
Called The Rock.
That's right. Never dropping eyebrows. Only dropping elbows.
Baby.
Just straight people's elbows. So take a look. There's some interesting stuff, of course, wrestling fan that I am and that you have kind of tagged along with. We have definitely gotten a lot of wrestling references in our music. So,
indeed.
So get ready for a lot of that. So if you're looking for something fun, that'll be something that you can take a part of. But let's get back to something that was kind of fun. Because Ricochet comes out.
Yup.
And we go to a break.
Yeah. Then we go to a nice little break. That was a fun little bit there. And then they start battling it out, which was cool. They went at it. Ricochet fought one of the brothers. I don't know which one was which because they looked pretty damn identical.
It was Angel. And Angel Garza.
So they were dueling it out, and then roll up.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Who is the Intercontinental Champion, by the way?
That was real quick.
That is the Intercontinental Champion.
So Ricochet grabbed the mic and said, "Hey, wait a second. No.
No,
it's not over. I'm going to fight your brother.
Me and my skinny ass beard want another fight.
I'm going to fight your brother or your cousin, and then we're going to go do this.
Just another Latino guy.
I'm going to fight. He said, we're family. We going to fight. I'm going to fight your brother. So I think he's his brother. Theoretical. I'm fighting your family. So he jumps in the ring, and they do get out. There were some cool jumps and flips and moves, which I didn't get on camera.
Go to another break.
And then we end up with another roll-up pin, same way. Because the other brother interfered with Ricochet like the first brother did.
So not only did the Intercontinental Champion get pinned once by Angel Garza, he then get pinned a second time by Humberto Carrillo on TV, and the Intercontinental Championship is supposed to mean what?
It's in danger for WWE.
It's endangered as being non-existent. They should put it in the witness protection program. because of its relevance at this point. I mean, that's just sad.
Oh wait, no, I'm wrong. He didn't lose because of a He didn't lose because of a roll up the second time.
Oh, it was a count out.
He lost because of a count out because the other brother
Even
held
better.
his leg.
Even better.
I forgot. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was crazy.
And their name is Los Lotharios.
Los, you lost your match.
Yeah. Well, no, they won.
Well, Los,
and then we get a program with Sami Zayn who's going up against Johnny Knoxville of Jackass.
Yeah, I was very
WrestleMania.
surprised. And he was like really hype about it. He's all like, oh boy, I'm gonna hurt Johnny so bad. It's a no holds bar match. You don't understand. I'm gonna beat him up. Oh boy. Oh, like, look at my beard. It's so long. Oh, I'm a chipper jolly guy. Oh, I'm gonna frick that guy up. Oh boy. And I'm like Johnny Knoxville from like Jackass?
Yeah.
Like I'm like that's
the 50 whatever year old Johnny Knoxville from Jackass.
Why is he fighting this man?
Publicity.
Why does he want to hurt him so bad?
Because
there was no explanation.
WWE.
He's just like, I'm gonna hurt him. No holds bar. I'm like, oh, Jackass?
Would you like a $12 beer?
Literally, like he's gonna offer me a craft beer and a steak or something. I don't understand.
I would love to have a craft beer and a steak with Sami Zayn. It'd be like if I had the opportunity to be like, Sammy, I like what you do. Would you like to get a craft beer and a steak? I would shake that man's hand firmly, and we would go get a craft beer and a steak. I'm putting that on my bucket list.
Oh man,
because that is that is a total layer add of character development that WWE refuses to do.
I feel that indeed.
So then we have the Austin. I think that's when Theory slaps McAfee.
Yup, he came out of nowhere and like, I want to see if I have the audio of the smack here. Nope, I didn't have the audio.
Oh, it's a shame.
Oh, I would love to have heard that and make comparisons.
Well, it's a shame that the build is just so bad to this, but that's one of the few that's actually getting kind of traction.
But like, he actually smacked him because that dude booked it, and he's like, over here.
Yeah.
And he was really chasing him down. I was like, oh my god. Like, that dude said. And I was like, oh!
Yeah.
That was loud.
That was rude. I was straight up rude.
And they chased him through the back room, and then he ran into a freaking someone's dressing room. Who was that? Mahomes?
Mr. McMahon. That was Vince's. Yeah, it was Vince's locker room. It was like, save me, Vinny.
Oh my god.
Now, it's not out of the realm of possibility that Vince McMahon could still possibly get involved in this match.
I never saw Vince all night. Is he still there?
He's, well, barely.
Oh, what's he doing?
He looks like a Muppet. And he kind of talks like a Muppet. He's like, Austin Theory. Right back McAfee. WrestleMania. Take him on. He's like out of breath. He's like completely like lost the zing. Yeah, that's him. Oh man, I wish you had the chance. If there was one video package I wish you had gotten the chance to see, it would have been a Vince McMahon Austin Theory package, because you would have been like, what the fuck has happened to Vince McMahon?
That's hilarious.
Oh lordy, it's pretty rich. It's pretty
God.
rich. Then we get Whammon.
Women, yep.
Now, this is part of what is going to be a fatal 4-way women's tag team championship match at WrestleMania featuring 8 women, which is going to be an absolute shit can fest.
Now, this was a weird match.
It is Zelina Vega, Queen Zelina Vega, versus Sasha Banks versus Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler.
They had a cool spark show that shot out the center stage thing. That was really cool.
What's your take on fatal 4-way matches? Do they make any sense?
Now, here's the weird thing. There were 8 people there. For all
Right, because it's all the Whammons.
Then they took a pause. They made a pause, a long pause.
More commercial.
To show a commercial with Happy and his sidekick, Beard.
And it's a Madcap Moss. Sidekick Beard. You know what? I would honestly not hate WWE if they're like, I'm Happy Corbin, this is my sidekick Beard.
Well, like,
they could make something out of Happy Corbin if they put any effort into it, but unfortunately they just will not.
So they made a pause to change the ring, because they just had to change out the ring, I guess. So they changed out the ring, and
it's getting too sweaty.
There was another ring under the. There was another. Oh god! So there was.
I told you this was going to be a unique episode, folks.
There was another ring under the ring, which was kind of funny. And I was like, what's the point? The sweat will travel down. So,
well,
okay, whatever. And I thought it was funny that one of the chicks there, the green one, the one that Queen
Zelina.
Yeah, she had like the shiny Skechers, so everything was dark, but you could see the green shiny shoes. So that was funny. I was like, shoes.
That's wrestlers' gimmicks now, is entrances and clothing.
Shiny shoes. And then we get the ad of Happy and his sidekick Beard. And then
we get all the... Yeah, Rhea Ripley comes out. What was your take on Rhea Ripley? With the screaming music. She was like the half-goth girl.
That was...
Not Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler is a MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Kind of. She was an MMA fighter. Now, she was actually not bad, but the main roster has completely destroyed her.
The MMA fighter was the one that was running out there just like, fist, punch,
yeah,
duck, punch. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got you. Very intense fighters. So I was like, okay. So everybody shows up, right?
Yep.
And here's the weird part. Hold on. I gotta see this back again. I'm just looking at here for reference. Just be like, what the heck's going on? So they get ready. And then the SmackDown screen shows up. And then before they can get ready, everybody has to stand around again for another video. To show off that Triple H announces that his in-ring career is over.
Yes, which we had we obviously heard from the Stephen A. Smith interview, which I got a chance to see. I didn't get a chance to when Skylar brought it up the first time. It's actually a pretty rough video. He's like, he really came close to dying. He had a really rough heart condition that now he has a defibrillator in his chest now. So, like, he cannot wrestle.
Yep.
So, because it would be terrible if he got shocked on live TV, if his heart started going into, non-sinus and all that shit.
Yep. Then they show the last two, which I think is the Queen Zelina and her partner,
Carmella.
Yep.
Yes.
They show up, and then everybody's there, right? Okay.
And then mayhem.
So, they're about to start. Everybody's standing there. We're all getting ready to battle. Okay. Any mayhem, any second now. Okay. Mayhem finally starts.
Mayhem, alright, here we go.
Here's the weird part. 4 of the women of the 8 ran away. They ran out. They ran up the stage. Out. They ran away.
Get off screen! Get off screen! Get off the stage!
So there were only 4 women on stage doing the Fatal 4-Way
on
battle.
stage, folks. That's key to this, because that really is what you're describing here. Between the commercial breaks, between like stopping everything, the fact that these women are just running back up, stopping before that. This is a show. This is not professional wrestling. Because the wrestling is, what, 3rd most important here? 4th? 5th? How important was the wrestling on this show in general, AB, would you say?
I mean, I'd say they did more daring moves during this Fatal 4-Way by them, like, jumping onto a group of each other. Like, they all started brawling out, and then one jumped onto the whole entire group of the people.
Gotta have the dive.
And then someone dived off of the top rope over to a group of people on the ground area. But then at one point, everybody just ran away, and there were 4 people on the ring. And then, they were duking it out. They were really going at it. It was a long battle. Very long battle of strikes, and everyone trying to pin everybody, but then the other one's like, no, you can't pin this one. Stop, no. And then a submission attack, and then, no, that's not happening. And then, what's her name?
I love the fact that there's, like, no descript names in this whole thing, because you're like, this one did this thing, and the other one did the other thing.
It's a Fatal 4-Way, man.
But it's very telling. But that's another thing, though. It's very telling that none of these 4 women are feeling any more important or spectacular as a result of doing any one of these other ones that, like, you can't even remember their names at this point.
Now,
that's very telling as to what the difference is, like the fact that you would remember a lot of the people from your earlier show.
Yeah.
As opposed to this show.
Like, Undertaker did a cage match at the end of that show 10 years ago.
And,
he did a cage match with freaking, who was it? It wasn't Edge, it was freaking, oh my god.
Batista, maybe?
Batista was there though. He battled, I forgot who, but he battled the dude, which was cool. That was really cool. Like, there was huge names that were there 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And these guys are like, I haven't been keeping up.
Well, but is there anything that makes you want to see any of these people other than Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns going forward in that respect? Like, out of this Fatal 4-Way match, is there anything that makes you want to go, I want to see what they're doing at WrestleMania?
I thought it was very interesting that the one with the bright blue hair was the one that won the match.
Sasha Banks.
So I saw that was very interesting. She went through a submission, right?
Yep. She did. The Banks statement.
And then I heard everybody yelling, tap, tap, all the kids, tap, tap. And then ended up tapping. I was like, oh,
hooray!
The crowd got what they wanted.
That's
sure.
right.
So then that happened. But yeah, so I guess they're going... What did that mean? Did that mean they were going to be the ones to battle for the title? Or
No, they're all having a Fatal 4-Way 8-woman tag team match at WrestleMania.
It wasn't a tag match at all. So
no, but that's what they're having at WrestleMania. They're doing it for the Women's Tag Team Championships that are owned by Queen Zelina and Carmella. So this was a momentum match.
Okay.
Which, does this make you want to watch that 8-woman tag team match?
No.
Would anything convince you to watch this 4-way women's tag team match? It's okay, you can say what you want.
Not at all. Nah. Would you?
Well, nothing I want to say publicly. No, honestly, no, I kid. Honestly,
no story.
It's just the way that they're treated. It's the way they're booked. It's the writing is bad. The booking is bad. I'm making an attempt, folks. I'm doing that on ACPW and NWL when Skylar's back here. For ACPW and NWL, I've got a women's division. I actually just debuted Shayna Baszler. So, and of course, Rhea Ripley, a big part of NWL because we have different rosters of people who actually wrestled. Their qualification is they just have to be wrestling kind of like now or within the past year.
Yep.
And we do our fantasy booking back and forth. So if you want to hear quality women's division booking, take a look at those videos. We're in 3 seasons. I think we're in episode 3 come next month. So stay tuned for that.
Word. I mean, now, I will say that they all have very athletic skill. Like, they did their moves and some of the freaking, like, hurricanes flips with the freaking leg flip thing moves.
Oh, the hurricanranas, yeah.
Those are really impressive that they pull those off very smoothly, But it's, like, very tame. It's a lot tamer than 10 years ago,
And then we hear that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is going to be on next week's SmackDown.
Yep.
Not worthy enough for either 2 WrestleMania shows. Why are we even having this Battle Royal anymore?
Nope.
Why is this happening? It doesn't give you anything.
Yep.
Now, we also know that Ricochet is also going to face off against Angel and Humberto for the title on next week's SmackDown. Then, Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman have arrived.
They've arrived. Yes, they have.
With 15 minutes to go in this show, they have arrived.
And I'm like, oh my God, the Penguin's here. He's pulling the boy out right
And
at
here comes Roman Reigns. They make their way to the ring. How long did it take for Roman Reigns to get to the ring?
It took a while. Everyone freaked out when he got in the car. Everybody was rooting for Roman Reigns. Even the guys I was going there with, they were rooting for Roman Reigns. They're like, yeah, Roman, #1.
Well, because this is what it's turned into, folks. It's turned into that the fans are just cheering anything that's good.
Yep.
It's not even about heels and baby faces with these two at this point. It's like, because Roman Reigns is the heel in this matchup, without a doubt, but his work has been so good that the fans just love him at this point.
Yep. So, after that, there's a long commercial for WWE 2K22.
Boy.
Huge commercial with everybody's in it. All the wrestlers are in it. All the one.
Every last wrestler that's ever been by WWE standards.
Yep. And here we go. Head of table on the big screen. Everyone's freaking out.
Yes, the head of table.
And then a CGI Roman Reigns spitting fire on the screen.
Now, that's interesting that you see it that way. They actually 3D it on the network.
Oh.
So it actually projects further out. I'm actually showing him this on the video that he's taken. It's actually up here in the upper third based on where they frame it because they just chroma key it in.
Oh. I see. So that's why they do the 3D Roman Reigns.
So that's where a lot of that 3D. But it's interesting to see that they actually do that on the big Tron here, too.
The loud explosion that really hurt my ears. Really
well, it's Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns means you're deaf.
Big deafening smacks.
Yes.
Then here's his belt. The belt's in the air, which was really nice.
He takes forever to get to the ring. But then, Roman Reigns cuts a decent promo saying, acknowledge me, Brooklyn.
Yep, Brooklyn, acknowledge me. And everybody's like, ah!
Or boo. It was kind of meh, kind of either way on that one.
Yeah.
But then, of course, they know if, one of them is asking where Brock Lesnar is.
Yep.
And Heyman saying he's worried about Brock Lesnar showing up. And then what happens might arguably be the best part of the show. Coming up.
Yep. So they look up at the screen. They see his dressing room all destroyed. He's like, "Where is Brock? Where is he?" And then Brock Lesnar's outside with a sledgehammer, smashing up Roman Reigns' limousine with a sledgehammer, just taking windows out, destroying the crap out of his car. I was cracking up. I was like, "Oh snap!"
It's a shame Roman Reigns doesn't live in Brooklyn, so that's probably a rental.
Just the joy in his face, the sheer grin on his face, looking at the sledgehammer, is like, "I did this." Smash.
The fact that Brock Lesnar is just enjoying himself now, and I love that about him. He's just having a good time, and you can sense it, and I think that's what makes him so likable in this run.
Yeah, I was enjoying him. I was just enjoying the sheer joy he had of just
beating up shit.
And then he walked away and just chucked the sledgehammer at the car, chinning up everybody like, "Yeah, what's up? Yeah." Right? And they're like, "Oh, where's he going? Where is he?"
Of course, Roman Reigns is trying to cover it a little bit. Saying, "Oh, I've got 4 of these.
Yup.
I don't worry about that. You're afraid of me. You're afraid of me, Roman." And then Roman comes out.
And then Roman comes out.
The music hits, but he doesn't come out down the ramp.
Nope, he
comes out from the side up through the announce table.
Yup, there he is right there. I caught him coming from the back.
And then all of a sudden, just a whole fuck ton of security guards.
Yup.
For no fucking reason, show up.
Yup.
And all line up in front of him like...
And he's standing there with a belt wrapped around his shoulder, and then all these security guards show up. And then he literally just is like, "Oh, okay, hey, how's it going?" And then all of a sudden the security guards are there, that he just is like, "Okay." He jumps down, grabs a steel chair, and just starts beating up.
Just beats all of the security.
All the security.
Just wailing, beating the shit out of everybody. And I loved this. This was just like, I'm going ham on every single one of y'all. Bring more of them. I don't give a fuck.
Yep.
I'll beat up more of them.
And then Roman Reigns ran away, and then the guys I was with are like, "Roman, what are you doing? Why are you running? What is this? Oh my God, he's running away. Oh no." So it's like, he's not number 1. Brock just made him run away like a coward.
That's right. And here's Brock's now number 1. And now we're going to see that title unification match at WrestleMania. And then that's the show.
Oh, and then he went back.
Oh, right. And then more security guards. Right. Brock wasn't done yet.
Nope. Oh, he kept beating this guy up on the stage. He's like, "I'm done. Yeah, I got another chair." That was good. I enjoyed that. That was a fun way to go.
Well, at least Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns will deliver.
Yeah, he got a second chair out and then started beating it to it again. Yeah. Dude was going at it.
So you got to see from start to finish. What would you say, overall about this SmackDown? Besides, this match obviously was the pinnacle of this. The main event at least lived up to being a main event. But how would you say the show as a whole felt as a tone? As someone who is a casual fan, would you be interested in watching more WWE after watching this show?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd like to keep an eye on it for parts here and there, which is good, but, it just doesn't capture as much as it used to,
Yeah.
But I still give props to the people that are doing it now because they put on a show. I will say that whenever there was commercial, I was excited when the show was back on because I'm like, awesome, okay, let's get back to what these guys are doing. All right. And it was just they kept attention. I was able to watch. I wasn't distracted. They really they held your attention the whole match. Their story background has no backing. There's no
Yeah.
They have the abilities. They're all there. They're doing it. They just need more character background, more build-up.
But that's my biggest complaint is they have all the tools.
Yep.
They've always had all the tools. And whether people blame Vince, or whether people blame the writers, or whether people blame the fact that they're just too big for their own good at this point, so they got shareholders that they can't make engaging storylines, which I don't believe. Because I think if you try hard enough, you can make a clean show that's still engaging to a modern audience.
Elon Musk can make a rocket the shape of a dick, and send it to Mars, and his share count is really high.
Yeah.
So I don't think shareholders is holding anybody back.
So I don't understand what, no matter what you blame, just the fact of the matter is, whether it's the talent's fault for not being able to get over, which it doesn't seem to be the case, I think it's just a matter of we've got something that is not functioning properly, whether it's Vince changing things or the writers or just the fact that it's now just too big and they just are too cautious, or the fact that Vince has just got a whole bunch of yes men around him. Who knows? But this is something that is why WrestleMania is not... I don't really care about WrestleMania. I'm watching it. And of course, as I mentioned with Skylar before, this could be the last modern WWE set of shows that I watch.
Until they make some changes.
Until they change something that, which they totally can do. They have the tools to do it. Will they do it? I'm not sure. At this point, they don't need to because they're making bottomless buckets of money. So they don't need to make this show good or make sense to be able to accomplish what their end goal is, which is more money.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. But AB, it has been wonderful having you on the show.
You know what's funny? We're going to skip over the main event the way we skipped out during the main event. I think that's pretty darn funny. There's a tag team match that was the main event of the night.
It was a dark match then.
Was it a dark match?
Because it was not on the air.
Really?
Yeah.
So there was a match with
RK Bro.
RK Bro and who are these two guys?
The Gable and Otis, Alpha Academy.
Yep, Alpha Academy and RK Bro was the special event, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Randy Ortiz. My goodness. Yes. And then as soon as they came out, and this dude kicked off his freaking shoes, running in on his scooter.
Yeah, what'd you think of that? That was Riddle.
Ew.
There you go, Matt. Constructive criticism.
Kicking your damn shoe. Put your shoes
You know what's
back
great
on.
though? The CGI of that has been birds flying out of his toes, basically.
What?
Yeah,
Oh
they've been multicolored birds shooting out of his ass, basically, every time you split them up. Oh, I gotta show. I got WWE COVID. Dude, what a time to be alive. Dude. That was some of the most dog shit wrestling stuff that they ever came up with, but yeah. So I'm going to have to show you that.
So, as soon as that happened, my buds were like, hey, you ready to dip out? We're going to beat traffic. And I'm like, word.
There you go. And that's 2/3 of a triple threat, another triple threat tag team championship match on one of the WrestleMania nights. That includes another team called the Street Profits, who are awful. They're just take my word on it.
Yeah.
They're just awful. They're just awful.
Jeez.
They're just awful.
Oh no. How awful?
I don't want to get into it right now.
Word.
But in any case, that's how we did this show, and unfortunately, I don't even know who won that match. I'm assuming RK Bro, but they could totally have had the champs lose. They did it to Ricochet twice. So
the same night.
You can't put it past WWE at this point, but at this point, it is time to take our first commercial break. AB, thank you so much for being on this show.
Hell yeah.
You've been to live streams, but this is the first proper podcast you've been a part of, and we really appreciate you having you on.
Thanks for having me, partner.
Well, thanks for going to the show and being able to give us a new perspective on this show that we don't normally get.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it here from your Colonial Champion and Abizzle, a very fascinating discussion regarding the formatting of WWE, what they choose to air, what they choose not to, and you'd think with all those commercial breaks they'd find the time to make something interesting. But speaking of, we've got the next piece, the second half of our 2-interview podcast. This time I sit down with JoshAgeddon, and he breaks down the entirety of the March 30th edition of AEW Dynamite. Here is part 2 of our interviews. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard one half of the professional wrestling equation from a casual fan at best, and now I have the opposite side of a spectrum that is on the spectrum and is anything but casual. And that is my man JoshAgeddon, who watched an AEW Dynamite on the 30th of March, 2022, and he is here to give us his unfiltered, scathing review, which he probably actually liked most of, and because Skylar is still not here because he is still working on very, very difficult NWO booking contracts and whatnot, he just cannot make it today. So with me is JoshAgeddon to review this show. How you doing, buddy?
Well, if there's one way to describe me, it would be on the spectrum. So
and not casual. The opposite of casual.
Not casual at all.
There is nothing casual about JoshAgeddon, but that's why we love him.
Yes, exactly.
So,
or modest.
Yeah, well, maybe. Jury's still out on that one. But we've got a Dynamite to review, and Skylar, who is the perennial AEW hater, will not have the chance to just squat down, sumo squat, drop his little thong, and just let loose all over it. So let's hear the constructive criticism of a live AEW show.
Okay, well, before we get into that, I went with my little brother, Alex. We went to the
He's taller
Colonial
than you.
Arena.
He's not a little kid.
Well, he's taller than me. Don't remind me. But yeah. So we went to the Colonial Life Arena, the home of SWCG.
No relation to me whatsoever, by the way. I'm waiting for my royalty check in the mail. My lawsuit is pending.
Getting there was a nightmare. Because when we were going there, we left at about 3:45 p.m. By the time we got there, it was like 5 o'clock and everyone was leaving for work. So we got caught in multiple traffic jams.
Oh, no.
It was awful. And when we got there, we had to pay $20 to park the car.
That's where they get you. They won't raise the price of the ticket, but they'll raise the price of the parking. Don't be fooled, folks. Amusement parks around the world use that same tactic.
Yeah, and then they said, we don't accept cards. And we do not have any cash.
I thought you were about to say we don't accept cars. So it's like, no, we only have buses and trucks only. Look at all these little compacts. No, we don't want this little Chevy Cruze. You come back with a truck or get the hell out of here.
Yeah, because me and my brother didn't have any cash on us. We just had our debit cards, and they were like, we don't take debit or credit. We only take cash. And my brother was like, well, do you know if there's an ATM nearby? And the guy was like, I don't know. And my brother got super pissed. And then we circled Columbia for about 30 minutes trying to find an ATM machine, and I had to pee really bad.
How long before the show was this, or is the show going on while you're getting this happening?
No, the show didn't start till about 7. This was about like 5:30.
Oh, so you're well ahead of time.
When we got there, it took us an hour to actually park, so we were cutting it a little close.
Damn.
So we finally got $20 and gave it to the guy and parked. And I had to go so bad, I literally opened a bottle and peed in the back seat into a water bottle.
Hey, man, you do what you got to do.
And my little brother was so uncomfortable. And he was like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah, I got to go. And then I just casually dumped it outside in the parking lot.
At least you didn't do what a friend of mine did in 8th grade, where he had a pee bottle that he had used, and he threw it out the window of the bus, but it flipped and ricocheted back into the bus, and all the windows were open.
Oh, no!
Yeah. And the rest of that class field trip was not too happy.
Dude.
I wasn't there. Thankfully, I wasn't there for that, though.
One of the last bus rides I ever went on, there was this guy that was dipping, but he didn't have a spit bottle, so he just spit it on the floor, and it was just like rolling up and down the bus. It was disgusting.
God.
It was the worst.
Remember when Tommy Dreamer drank The Undertaker's tobacco spit? In 2002. Remember when Tommy Dreamer's gimmick in 2002 was, yeah, give me all this vile-ass shit to eat. I'll eat it. I don't give a fuck. I don't have any standards. And that was his whole gimmick. Oh, man.
And then I'm going to defend Ric Flair and compare terrible things to my double ponytail.
Oh, God. Which was, in fact, offensive. You know, he was correct in saying that his ponytail was offensive. But the context in which he used that was also equally as offensive. Yeah. But in any case.
Back to AEW.
Yeah. Speaking of, Tommy Dreamer is a part of AEW somewhat.
Well, the first thing I noticed when we got there were so many neckbeards there. Like,
That
just
is
stereotypical.
That's probably the most
cliche.
unsurprising thing you could have said.
It was kind of like, really? It was like every stereotype you can imagine for like the wrestling fan. That was like most of the people in the audience.
But that's because that's what AEW attracts, with the exception of you. And
I'm a skinny neckbeard, okay? I'm not an obese neckbeard, I'm a skinny one.
Right. Difference,
so
but that's pretty much the only difference. Mountain Dew traded for Monster, you know, it's just a different class of neckbeard.
Yes.
A little slightly above neckbeard. It's like respectable neckbeard.
So what we got when we finally got into the building, and I almost got in trouble, by the way, because I always carry a knife with me, and we almost went past the metal detector, and I was like, oh shit. Alex, stay right here. I need to go to the car and drop off my knife. And he was like, why'd you bring your knife? And I was like, because we're on planet Earth. And
I mean,
shit happens sometimes.
What a round of logic that is. Why? Because we live on Earth. And you don't even know what the hell is coming at you. It's a random ass pterodactyl. Bam! Shank him with a knife. You're not hit. You're not eaten. Boom. Life saved.
We were like right next to the metal detector, and I just turned around and sprinted to my car and ran right back. And Alex was like, I hate going places with you.
I'm sure it was that really gangly Dr. Evil run that you do.
Yes.
Yes. You know exactly what one I'm talking about, too, where you end up looking like a chicken with its head cut off, but with its head. So
like
a chicken. So a chicken.
Yeah.
A headless chicken with a head, or otherwise known as a chicken.
Yeah. So, not only did we watch AEW Dynamite, we basically got 3 shows for the price of 1. Because when we got in there, what's his name? Justin Roberts came out. He was the
Glitch Bot.
Yes, the Glitch Bot. And he introduced everyone. He was like, this is our first show in South Carolina. We're super excited. Thank you all for coming. You're going to, before Dynamite starts, we're going to record an hour of AEW Dark Elevation. And we hope you enjoy. So it was a bunch of dark matches. And they were all a lot of fun. The first one was hilarious. It was Layla Hirsch versus a jobber. And my brother, he doesn't watch wrestling very often, but he very quickly caught on to who was a jobber and who was winning and who was losing. And I was like, oh, Layla Hirsch is cool. I actually really like her. The match lasted 30 seconds. She hit one German suplex and a Shining Wizard and won. And me and Alex both started laughing hysterically.
I mean, those thighs don't lies.
Yes.
So a Shining Wizard, I mean, that's more of just like a thunderous wizard. Because Thunder Thigh Express, that's what she should call it. The Thunder Thigh Express, because she's so legit. And I mean, it's a great stout build that she has. I do think she has a look, a unique look. So
yeah, she does.
She just needs refinement.
She has a low center of gravity. She has that. Although she did a German suplex, which I was looking forward to, but it was not the best German suplex, and I was fairly convinced that her opponent landed right on her head.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean by when I say she needs refinement. You know, she's still
a little green.
She's got the potential, like most things in AEW, it's got the potential. There's just nobody proper there to mine it.
Yeah, and then the next match after that was a match that I actually recorded a little bit of footage of. It was QT Marshall and a guy versus 2 people that are related to Arn Anderson.
Brock Anderson and people, the group formerly known as the Nightmare Family against the group that was also partially formerly known as the Nightmare Family.
And it was a fairly basic match, and Arn Anderson's kids won with a spine buster. I thought that was cool. There was a really sick Dr. Bomb during that match. It was a standard tag team match. And then...
How long did it go? Just out of curiosity, how long did it go?
It was about 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I respect it.
So then Serena Deeb came out, and I was like,
oh boy.
They're spoiling us tonight. And I actually tried to send a video of her match to our group chat, but it took forever to load because the Wi-Fi was not particularly good.
Sure.
And she just demolished a jobber. It was glorious.
Why does that sound more exciting than most AEW things that I end up watching? This show actually sounds kind of passable.
Yeah, and I'll spoil it. There were no hardcore matches throughout the night. Then why? There was no blood. there was barely any interference in any of the matches. There were a couple matches that had interference, but like 1 or 2. And that's 3 shows.
That's remarkable.
This was a very dialed back, reserved. This was an actual like legit wrestling show. It had a few goofy segments that were kind of wacky, but other than that, there was a bunch of just good wrestling matches.
Let's hope that William Regal's presence in AEW has made that kind of difference.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that it's all him, but like maybe he's the one who's finally had the balls to be like, Tony, come on, man. We got so many people here that could show you how to do this right. Let's just do this right.
So after that match, so it was Serena Deeb versus someone, and then it was Red Velvet versus someone, and no one really cared. The crowd loved Red Velvet, but that's just because she's hot.
Yeah, I don't really see the point of Red Velvet. I mean, she makes a good Oreo. You know, when she's baked really well, I can enjoy it very much. I mean, it's very voluptuous and moist. You know, but you got to have the right frosting. You know, you definitely have to have the right frosting. If you don't have the right frosting, you know, the whole cake doesn't go well. You know, I like a lot of Red Velvet. I just don't know whether she has improved enough as a wrestler for me to get behind her yet.
Yeah, it was all right. It went like a couple minutes. The longest match on Dark was actually that tag team match that only went like 6, 7, 8 minutes.
That's amazing to me. That they can have a Were there 2 comebacks or just 1?
There was like 1.
Was there any? Was there any comeback or was it just moves?
Well, there actually was a build up to a hot tag, and then they won not that much later afterwards.
All right, basic stuff.
Yeah, that was really basic.
Why can't they have more basic stuff on their television? Their real television.
The most convoluted thing that happened was QT Marshall was the illegal guy, and he did a hot shot that turned whoever Anderson around into a kick for a near fall, and then they shortly won after that. So it wasn't too convoluted.
But
and then the main event was Paul White versus this other big dude.
Paul White, wow.
And it went about 2 minutes.
Now see, I mentioned this on the Abizzle interview, and I'm going to mention it here. The funny thing about this is that when you keep saying they're facing somebody, the person who would have the information on exactly who he faced would be Skyler.
Yeah.
He is the key piece of factual information that is missing on these podcasts.
They were just jobbers that I had never heard or seen before.
And Skyler would still come up with their names and then be like, nah, some jobber, who cares? Moving on. But still, we appreciate you, Skyler.
By the way, as much as I have been into wrestling for a while, this is the first like big major show that I've ever been to.
Very cool. Very cool.
Previously, when I was younger, my dad would take me and my brother to... have you ever heard of Lynx Wrestling, Lynx?
No, never.
Basically, these were really small, independent South Carolina shows where the audience was like 20 people.
All right. Well, that's still cool.
And I actually got to meet and talk to Lodi.
Oh, cool.
So, and he actually won his match with an even flow DDT. And I was like, that was an awesome DDT you did. And he was like, yeah, that was Raven's move. And I was like, I'm so happy right now. My uncle would be crying because Raven is his favorite wrestler. So that was cool. But this is the biggest thing I've ever been to. And you know,
the sad thing about Lodi is that he has really been sinfully neglected in the history of professional wrestling.
Oh, no, here we go.
Continue.
Here we go.
Continue.
And that was basically the end of Dark Elevation, which honestly, it was fun, but it was clearly just the warm-up.
Sure, right. Get you all hyped.
And then Tony Khan came out.
Oh boy.
And he was only out for like 30 seconds. He said, all right, the show's about to start. Once again, thank you all for coming. This is our first show in South Carolina. We're super excited. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? The first person you're going to see after I walk out is CM Punk. And everyone just started going wild. And then the show started. Pyro.
Wait, hold on. Wait, let me to quote Sky. Hold on. Are you holding on?
Yes, I'm holding on.
Okay, good. So Tony Khan goes out there to be like, Hey, I did this. Let me just wax myself off. Look at this nice carrot I got. It's a multi-billion-dollar carrot I'm waxing off in front of all of you. Thank you for coming. I love South Carolina. Oh. And the first person you're going to see is CM Punk, because he's not going to get the major reaction of you being surprised. I'm going to get the reaction because I'm the one who did this.
Yeah, I did think it was a little weird. I was like, okay, thank you for telling us that, and the crowd's excited.
This is the exact...
If the show started and there was that little bit of silence and then Punk's music hit.
This is the exact level of mark that is why it makes it really hard to root for Tony Khan.
And when he was on stage, he had the same bug-eyed, eyes
of
darting
course.
in every direction.
Good. Who knows how many lines had been done prior to coming in.
I was just like, this dude is so high right now.
And he genuinely... He just does not have a media personality. He really just does not have a good public image. You know, because he needs to let somebody like... You know, and I don't mean to take it from ACPW, but genuinely it would probably be the best role for him. He needs someone like an Arn Anderson or a Jim Ross as some sort of ambassador to Tony Khan, who runs the show and books the show, but somebody who can actually speak to the media and represent AEW in a tactful and respectable way that doesn't just remind everybody of Herb Abrams.
Yeah. It felt like if they didn't say who he was, I guarantee you my brother was probably thinking, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, is that like a fan that just grabbed a microphone?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
And unlike Herb Abrams, Tony Khan cannot talk.
Yeah.
He's just not good at it.
But with all that said, when CM Punk came out, the roof went off the building. Everyone went insane. Like, I've never heard a crowd... I've never been in a crowd that collectively lost its shit before.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
It's an exhilarating feeling. It's like, it honestly, like, it makes you almost, like, if it's intense enough, it honestly makes you, like, involuntarily tear up. Because you're like, I'm just overcome with all of this, just all of the sensory overload you hit at that moment.
Yeah.
You know, I feel similar with concerts sometimes, like when you get to like the second set and the lights go on and everybody freaks out and, you know, they just hit that big fever pitch that just, it's a very cool feeling.
Oh, and by the way, before the show, like before Dynamite started, they introduced the commentators, and when Justin Roberts went, the intelligent Excalibur, there were some cheers and there was one loud boo. You know who the loud boo was?
Was it you?
Me.
I knew it. I knew it.
Because God, he sucks.
He's pretty terrible. And but it's a Wednesday night, and you know what that means. Where are we, Tony?
We're in North Carolina.
That's right.
With Sean's grandmother.
Welcome to the Pontiac Silverdome, brother. Anyway, CM Punk, great to see him.
And his opponent was Max Caster.
All right.
The first thing Max Caster rapped about was how he was going to slap him harder than Will Smith. And I was like, oh my, that's such a low-hanging fruit.
It's also a work. I mentioned it before, but we're not getting into that now.
So they had a match. It was like a decent, like, 7-ish minute long opening match. And it was fine. Nothing, again, it wasn't a pay-per-view, but it was fine. But then CM Punk went for a pile driver and almost dropped him, and he had to reset up for the pile driver. So that was a little funny. And then he put him in the Anaconda Vice and won via submission.
Which is the right result.
Yes. It did not go very long. But I will say, it was so surreal, because this is the first time I've seen CM Punk, like, in person after seeing him on TV for so many years.
Sure.
And, like, everyone that came out, I was like, I'm seeing this person, and he's, like, yards away from me, because I'm in the middle section of the arena, so I'm not, like, next to the guardrail, and I'm not in the nosebleeds, so I'm, like, in the middle.
You know, it's so funny. That's actually where Abizzle was seated at the Barclays Center, was in the second tier, right? Like, basically in the same spot. That's really funny.
But unfortunately, one thing that I did notice that kind of disappointed me, I was on the opposite side of the arena than the hard cam, so whenever anyone spoke or did anything towards the camera, I was looking at their back.
True.
So I was like, oh man.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Seat.
That's a
If only
shame.
I knew where the hard camera was going to be.
Well, you still get the general gist, though. I mean, you still get to hear it. And, of course, I imagine that the Tron is also filling in for that in that respect. But I do understand, like, being able to see the person, you know, and again, seeing the eye contact is also very key to a promo.
Yeah.
You know, to see that intensity and the fire in the eyes. That's why I like Jake Manning so much. Because, like, every time I see him face to face, I'm like, oh, he's talking about pitch intense and shit. I should be listening. And so, but, so then you get to an interview here, right? CM Punk actually gets to cut a promo here.
Yeah, Tony Schiavone interviews him, and he asks him, like, you made a belt gesture on the last week's episode. We assume that you're challenging for a title. Do you want to clarify? And CM Punk basically said, I want whoever is the World Heavyweight Champion. And the crowd went wild. And I swear to God, I really, really hope that he's the next AEW champion. Because, I mean, we talked about this before, like at Revolution. Hangman Adam Page has lost the bloom is off the rose.
They got to end this run, man. They've got to. A good wrestler with terrible timing.
Yeah.
It's really and I respect the fact that Tony still wanted to have Hangman beat Kenny for the belt. I respect that idea. But when you have got Bryan Danielson and CM Punk in the time that you were planning this big long-term storytelling event, and Hangman Adam Page just isn't on that level, you got to know when to make the change, man. I mean, that main event with him and Adam Cole was just poopy. It was just the drizzling shits.
It was just moves.
It was just moves and pile drivers and burying moves and completely destroying Adam Cole's moveset. And Master Chief, for whatever reason.
On Dynamite with CM Punk, there was one pile driver, and it was immediately the finish.
And this is what frustrates the hell out of me with Tony Khan. Why can he not do this on his major shows?
I know.
Why can he not just do this on a consistent basis? He knows, if he knows how to do this, or at least somebody's telling him or figuring out how to do this basic stuff, why is that not happening all the time?
But I will say, remember how there were 3 different Tombstone pile drivers on Revolution?
There were 3 different Tombstone pile drivers on that main event alone.
Yeah. Well,
then there was others on the show.
There were also 3 pile drivers on this show, but they were all different variations of the pile driver, and they were immediately the finish.
There you go. So why
Daniel Bryan, CM Punk did a regular traditional pile driver, and then put him in a submission and won. Daniel Bryan did the cradle gotch pile driver, and it looked devastating. And then he won with his submission move. And then Tony Storm, who debuted, which I called, she did her snap jumping pile driver and won her match with that. So at least the pile drivers led to finishes on this show.
Now, JoshAgeddon, just realized you mentioned Tony Storm, and somewhere out in the offices of NWL, Skylar just got all sweaty.
Yeah.
So
he was very conflicted.
So, but in any case, we will get to Tony Storm, you know, as this show goes on. But
I was happy to see her, but I had a problem with her match. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yes, and then we get the speaking of people with bustling personality on television, Alex Marvez is with MJF and FTR.
Yeah.
What happened here?
It was basically FTR they're still friends with Wardlow, and MJF is like, fuck Wardlow. And everyone hated MJF. He has such amazing heel heat, even when he's just on screen. And he has so much charisma. Although either on the screen or at the announce table, that's all we saw of him tonight. There was no MJF promo, which made me sad. So it was just a standard backstage promo. No one interrupted it. There was no fight during that, which is astonishing.
You're blowing my mind, JoshAgeddon. I'm like, I didn't know.
I feel like there were definitely some issues with this show, but I feel like you would have actually been like, this was a solid 2-hour long episode of Dynamite. It was actually okay.
Man, I'm so confused.
Not even gonna lie, I liked this show more than Revolution.
Wow. Well,
But
that's
again,
not
I was
that
there
big a
live,
bar
and
to
being there
pass.
live- Being there live is completely different than watching it on TV.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. We'd probably feel somewhat similar if we were at WrestleMania and actually were at the show.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, what was after that? I think the John Moxley.
Yes, then we have Jay Lethal versus John Moxley.
Well, when John Moxley came out, my brother was like, "Yo, is that Dean Ambrose?" And I was like, "Yeah, but he goes by John Moxley now." And Alex was like, "Oh, cool."
And also, Dean Ambrose was like way better.
Yeah, because again, I'm into pro wrestling. My brother, he kind of watched. He's very casual, so he didn't really. This is the first AEW anything he's ever seen.
Sure,
so he doesn't know who else there. But it did pop him knowing that John Moxley was there. And John Moxley and Jay Lethal had like a 10-minute long, very technical match, and I thought it was the best thing on the show.
Well, I'd actually be kind of interested in that in some ways.
But it was very clear that Jay Lethal was leading through the match.
Sure.
Because, again, he's the veteran.
Isn't that kind of sad to say when we're talking about John Moxley here, considering how long he's been, but it's the way that he's decided to structure his matches. And Jay Lethal's like, no, I'm not going to do that shit. You're going to wrestle a wrestling match, which we know he knows how to do.
And they had a really good wrestling match. And then John Moxley won with the snap paradigm shift. And they're doing a losing streak angle with Jay Lethal, apparently, which
that's brilliant.
I don't know how to feel about that. But at least he's on TV, because I know that there were several months that went by where we knew he was on the roster. We just never saw him.
Yeah, he had just silently gone away on sabbatical to Italy to learn about his genealogy or something. But,
yeah. But at least he's like on TV having long competitive matches now.
It's something. I wish he would be more valuable, but it's something, I guess.
And also, off the air, you mentioned how at the SmackDown show, Abizzle was like, when they went to commercial, like the show stopped and they just went in their corners.
Yes.
You wouldn't know unless you were looking at specific screens when AEW Dynamite was on commercial, because the way it was is you have all the Trons where you can see what's happening on TV while the show's live. When they went on commercial, half of them just showed the AEW Dynamite logo. But they the lights would stay on and they would just keep wrestling. It was very hard to tell when they were on commercial break, which I feel like that's the way it should be for the live audience.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that we talked about it. I mean, Abizzle and I talked about it. So for those of you who are this far into our podcast, you've already heard a little bit of this, but because JoshAgeddon is on the second part of this, he's still being briefed on this. But in any case, the reason they do it is they're just so afraid of wrestlers getting injured during it, so they're like, no, everybody stop, and then we'll just start back up when the lights go back on. And also because it's a stage show now, because there was also times during commercials where people would just run in and run out, and you wouldn't see them. But the WWE show isn't catered for the fans in the arena. It's catered for television, which is what they're shooting, which is what they care about. So they're not going to continue matches for the fans. Fuck the fans.
It makes the show feel more lifeless and sterile.
And also, just that, a show, not a professional wrestling, albeit simulated, but a combat sport presentation, which was what was promised. So to Tony Khan's credit, at least the fans are getting something of that, even if his booking has been inconsistent at best.
Yes. Spotty.
Yes.
And another thing that I guarantee you did not happen at the WWE show, whenever there was a little bit of downtime or they were setting up for the next show, Justin Roberts, he would get on the mic and he would talk to the audience, point out signs, and interact with the crowd to keep the crowd engaged when there wasn't much going on. So it felt more alive and like they were trying to entertain the crowd.
Justin Roberts, hey, does anybody have any oil? My joints are getting a little squeaky.
Does anyone have any children in the crowd?
Oh my God, no. What is this? Well, Bray Wyatt hasn't debuted on AEW yet. But he just might, folks. We don't know what's going on. And I know he's going to, raise his kids or whatever.
Oh, and another thing that happened that was so funny. Okay, so you're going to love this. There was whenever, and they would announce whatever referees would go into the ring, while they were on commercial. He noticed that there was a fan booing Rick Knox. and it was like a kid. It was a little kid booing Rick Knox, and he was like, "Wait, this fan over here is booing Rick Knox. Why don't you have a match with Rick Knox?" And Rick Knox was like, "Yeah, I want to have a match with this person." And it was like, "All right, so it's going to be Rick Knox versus this fan in a rock paper scissors match."
That was fun while it lasted, Tony.
Yeah.
It was
And
fun
then they
while
had rock,
it
paper,
lasted.
scissors, and the crowd was into it, and Rick Knox won, which made me sad.
That is such an indie thing.
Yeah.
I've seen that on so many indie shows. They did that at the North Haven Fair show that Abizzle and I were talking about on his part of the interview, which we never got back to, and I meant to, because I think he would say, we were talking about it off the air, that North Haven Fair show for Northeast Wrestling was more engaging and entertaining than the WWE Smackdown he went to.
Yeah.
But they did the same thing. They had this 8-man tag, which actually made sense. I couldn't believe it until the referee just decided that he was just going to like punch all the wrestlers and like Hulk up and rip off his shirt to expose that he was in fact the grandfather from Dragon Ball Z, because he had rustling white chest hair, and he was pretty jacked too, this wrestler. Bald head, goatee. This guy actually had the look going on. But in any case,
very wacky.
Fuck Rick Knox.
That wasn't the end of that. That wasn't the end of that. Later on, he was just talking to the audience, and there was this guy who was dressed up as Jesus, and he set up, and the fan, he said, "What's your name?" The one that was booing Rick Knox. And he said, "Oh, Reggie? Your name's Reggie?" Later on, he pointed out this guy that was dressed like Jesus in the crowd, and there was another fan on the other side who was like, "All right, you two have a rock, paper, scissors match. What's your name, other fan?" "Reggie." "All right, so it's going to be Jesus versus Reggie." And both me and Alex were both like, how many people named Reggie are in this building?
All of them.
Two Reggies in the building.
AEW fans, y'all a bunch of Reggies. You understand?
And Reggie beat Jesus.
Little sommelier drinking, Carmella helping, fucking Cirque du Soleil jumping, wine tasting motherfucker. Anyway.
And then
y'all a bunch of
beat
Reggies.
Jesus.
I should be ashamed of yourselves.
And then Jesus held up a sign that said MJF fears Jesus, and when Justin Roberts saw that, he was like, MJF fears Jesus, and then someone behind me went, "Well, that's because he's Jewish."
Wow. Okay.
I almost fell out of my chair.
Well, and this is the point where it's got to be like, all right, next match, let's move on. Time to move on.
South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow. Okay. Well, speaking of Marina Shafir, she's on the video package.
They're setting up for Marina Shafir versus freaking what? Oh my God! What's the name of the TBS champion again? Her name literally just left my.
Jade Cargill.
They're setting up for Jade Cargill versus Marina Shafir, and I am afraid.
I think that match is going to go really well. That's going to be a technical classic. Steamboat Savage.
Yeah, my favorite color is green.
My favorite color is ladies making out as psychological warfare. And that's what Jade was doing, or has been doing, I guess. She's like, I'm going to kiss every girl here, and then beat the shit out of her in like the weirdest mixed messages that you could possibly be sending in pro wrestling. And speaking of actual pro wrestling, that FTR show up with NWO gear like Scott Hall.
Yeah.
And we get the Gun Club, also known as Ass Boys.
The Ass Boys. And they had a tag team match which went about 10 minutes. And it was all right. I just honestly didn't really care.
Oh, man, I really miss when FTR was important. But
the crowd was into it. But one thing about this show, the crowd was into everything. Like, even the elevation matches they were kind of into.
That's
so
AEW.
FTR, and there were loud ass boy chants for several minutes, which I thought was really funny. And my brother was like, because again, he doesn't watch wrestling that much. He was like, "Why are they chanting ass boys?" So I had to go on I was like, so their dad, his name was the Ass Man, Mr. Ass. And that he's their dad, so they're chanting ass boys. And Alice is like, this is so weird.
Yeah, they both popped out of his ass as far as I know. It was like he actually was like cell mitosis, and it was just like one shot out of one cheek and one shot out of the other cheek. There was no female pregnancy involved. He just like, his ass squeezed so tight trying to make a diamond out of coal, and then bam, children.
Nothing's more fun than explaining wrestling to someone who doesn't watch wrestling, and you have to explain stuff like the Ass Boys.
Yeah. I was trying to explain to Abizzle what Kevin Owens is. I can't wait till you hear the interview, because you'll be impressed.
Oh, dear.
So then after FTR shows up, we get a video package for the main event of Rampage. I don't know why they do this.
Yeah.
Keith Lee versus Powerhouse Hobbs. You go from having 3 jobber matches that make sense and are fast and get things done and have a purpose and go for business to putting your 2 big hosses in a match against each other when one of them is green and improving and the other one needs a reputation builder. And you keep putting them in these situations where neither of them will benefit. They need to be the ones having these squashes.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's...
But we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Instead, we've got the Jericho appreciation suckers. And...
I thought this whole segment was stupid. I mean, the crowd was into it because the crowd was into basically everything that happened.
Well,
but
that's something to say. It's an interesting point you bring up, and I don't mean to interrupt you, and I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best AEW reviews of all time. But I don't mean to stub you, but that's something about AEW that is very unique to them, is that even though we have a lot of issues, or at least Skylar and I do, and you do occasionally, with the booking and with the presentation, there is no denying that the energy level of AEW is palpable.
Yes.
Because the fans are so rabid for goddamn everything, you always are feeling, you're always feeling that level of energy that is just not present in WWE programming.
I don't think it's because of what AEW does. I think it's because it's just not WWE, and everyone's like, finally! We've been wandering the desert of something that's not WWE, sterile, formulaic booking, and now we're getting it. We don't care if it's good. It's just not WWE, and because of how much WWE everyone's had, it's going to be like this for any major wrestling company for a while, so it'll probably take a long time for people to be like, okay, well, now we want something different than AEW.
I think one of the ultimate interesting things about this whole situation is going to be how much are AEW's numbers going to increase or be affected after WrestleMania is over? In what is regarded, most people are regarding as one of the most uninteresting WrestleManias going into it. How will this affect what AEW does?
Real quick, the card for this WrestleMania is the actual fucking worst that I've ever seen.
It's pretty bad. And that's tonight, folks.
Half the matches have celebrity non-wrestlers in them, and that's fucking inexcusable.
At least to McAfee's credit, he's active enough in professional wrestling where you can make the case for it. He's
really good.
And he's really good, and he's got a very unique brand and a very unique personality.
But the Johnny Knoxvilles and the Logan Pauls and the Ronda Rousey, that Ronda Rousey-Charlotte match is going to be actual cancer.
Yeah, I'm going to be excited to hear what you guys think about it, because I'm not watching it. I'm a man of my word. I am a man of my word. I will do something else.
I'll be upset if they have a decent or passable or good match. I want that to be a bus fire.
Yeah.
I want that to stink up the joint.
The only way I go back and watch it is if there is an actual shoot fight that takes place in it. Where like someone loses an eyebrow and the wingtips are smeared all over the place. And they actually fight. But I don't care. I'm not giving Ronda Rousey the satisfaction. And Charlotte she's got to stop being her fucking dad.
Yeah.
Sorry. She needs a gimmick change.
Boring human being on the planet.
She needs a gimmick change. I mean, yeah, she's a good promo at what she does, but at this point, it's been forever. We've seen it. Roman Reigns had to change, and look what happened to him.
Immediately became the biggest thing in wrestling.
So, and I believe Charlotte has the ability to do that, but she's got to completely get rid of this current gimmick she's got. And until then, no one's going to give a shit.
I'm going to give you an easy prediction here. I feel like I'm going to have enjoyed this show that I was at more than WrestleMania in a couple days.
And so we get to this brawling thing that goes on with Jericho and all of these guys. What happened here? I can't even really make sense of it from the description I'm reading.
They were backstage, and they were like, the Jericho Appreciation Society is the best. The people that you like aren't even here. Eddie Kingston's not here, and they pulled back one of the curtains to show, oh, he's not over here. And then Jake Hager was like, I'm going to pull back this curtain. See, he's not here either. Except, he was there, and him and his friends started beating them up. And the brawl spilled out into, the ring. And then the Jericho Appreciation Society gained control and started beating him with the bat, and that was the end of the segment. It was just a brawl.
Well, that sounds like so now we're back. Now we're back to reality here. Okay, so the first third of this show, I'm like, okay, I might actually be interested in it, but we have come back to Earth and crashed into Area 51 and are back into the Twilight Zone that is AEW wrestling.
Entire 3 shows, something like this only happened like 1, 2, 3 times. So there was a little bit of it, but not too much.
Well, it's still surprising, but there's still a lot of this show left.
Yes,
so
that is true.
Tony Schiavone and Jade Cargill with Money Mark Sterling. Or Smart Mark Sterling. Money Mark is the guy running the thing. And we get to say that the 30th opponent's going to be the librarian Leva Bates.
Ha 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 ha. Because it was funny.
And
there was a few people in the arena who chuckled. I was not one of them.
Who was one of them?
One of the neckbeards that will literally drink and have sex with anything AEW does ever.
Because he can't get anything in real life.
Yeah.
But speaking of real life people who get some, William Regal and Bryan Danielson. And we get Danielson and Wheeler Yuta. Why are they using Wheeler Yuta so much?
Listen, I'm not even joking. Wheeler Yuta was like the second most over person in the building. I'm not even joking.
Really?
He was so over. And people went nuts for him. Like, there was a part of the match where Daniel Bryan was doing where he has the arms trapped and he's just elbowing him in the chest and the neck.
Yep.
And then Wheeler Yuta reversed the cattle mutilation. He started doing that exact same move to Bryan Danielson. The crowd popped like crazy.
Now, that's fascinating because Bryan is now babyface, ?
Sort of. This match was designed to get Wheeler Yuta over. Because Wheeler Yuta actually had a lot of offense in this match and a lot of spots where he reversed something on Bryan out of nowhere and got a move in. And every time he did, the crowd went nuts.
How long did it go?
It was actually at this point one of the longer matches. It went longer than Moxley and Jay Lethal, at least it felt like it. But the crowd was into it. And there were very few Let's Go Bryan or American Dragon chants. There were a lot of Let's Go Yuta or Yuta chants, which surprised me.
Well, that's one of the weirdest things about this whole thing with Regal, Moxley, and Danielson is that Danielson was arguably one of the best heels, apart from MJF, in AEW. He was doing tremendous things that were getting people to boo his smart alecky, the smart ass face he was saying everything with, and everything he was doing was great. And then he pairs up with Moxley and then he's like kind of still a babyface, but still not, because he's not necessarily going to being that hey, I'm yes guy Daniel Bryan again.
Yeah, he's definitely a tweener right now.
Yeah, which is an interesting spot, and maybe that will lead to Danielson and Regal?
I don't know, but when he beat Wheeler Yuta, the entire crowd went, "Oh man,"
which is nice. That's what you want, but because you obviously can't beat Danielson with Wheeler Yuta.
Of course, but he had a very competitive match, and it did. I feel like it got Wheeler over in a big way.
Well, if only. Let's see where it goes with him. Because considering the rest of the roster right now, I can't see a really majorly prominent place for Wheeler Yuta on that card. And that's not a knock. But it, you know,
also Daniel Bryan doing the cradle gotch pile driver. That was such a beautiful pile driver. It was just perfection.
yes, Bryanson, Daniel Bryanson.
Be Bry.
Yes, B Bry, D Dry.
Be Dry.
B Dry. That's his name. B Dry. It was raining here in the Colonial Dungeon today, so I'm happy to be out of the rain. So B Dry. So speaking of dry, all of the females in the arena had everything dry up when they heard Adam Cole's music hit.
He was actually he wasn't as over as you'd expect, but the crowd still went for like the boom and the Adam Cole Bebe chants.
Well, yeah, because they're going to put over the staples. Even if they're not in love with the person, they're still going to pop for the stuff they know they have to pop for.
And the segment I thought was very silly. Because what they're going with here is, on the previous episode, Adam Cole and Redragon stole the world title and the tag team belts. And they're going around saying that they're the champions. And they even had, like, over the nameplate, a piece of tape over it that said Adam Cole and Redragon.
Oh, no. Come on.
And I'm just like, really? This is your main event world title feud? Is this juvenile, childish shit?
That's what they've established. If they've done
the crowd was into it. I was just like, the crowd was into it. I was not.
Because the crowd, like I said, the crowd will cheer for anything that Tony Khan does, probably for the reason that you mentioned, even if it's so absolutely ludicrous, because, like, well, at least it's not WWE stuff, but it's still pretty bullshit. But Adam Cole
Page came out, and he came out like JBL. He had his huge white limousine with the buck horns on it. It was straight up JBL entrance, and then he went in the ring. And when, to their credit, when Adam Page came out, the crowd went nuts. He was like the third or fourth most over person in the building that night.
The world champion is the third or fourth most over person on the card. At least in WWE's defense, the most interesting thing on the night was the end of the night, which was the world champions.
Dude, Wheeler Yuta is more over in this building than Adam Page.
That's when you know you done fucked up.
What does that tell you?
A lot.
People cared more about Wheeler Yuta beating Bryan Danielson than Adam Page doing anything.
That sounds about right.
Get the belt off this man. Put it on CM Punk.
Yeah, please. Dear God. Please. Quickly.
Yeah.
Well, no, you don't want to bury him, but, you know.
I mean, what they might do, what I'm hoping they do is he might go through Double or Nothing, still champion, but isn't All Out going to be in Chicago?
Probably, because they can't help themselves, but yeah.
If All Out is in Chicago, then that's where CM Punk should win the title.
You know, it just occurred to me. You know who they'll probably use to take off that title?
Adam Cole?
No, I hope not. No. The first two-time champion in history. Kenneth Handelman Omega.
Kenny Omega? Oh, no.
Can you imagine the rage from one Bay Area Brawler, Skylar Greenberg?
I hope that happens.
Can you imagine the seething hatred? I know right now, he's sitting up there in that office going, I sense a disturbance in the force.
Yes. You know what? I hope it happens.
Oh, my God.
Will literally split in two out of his fury.
Man.
Pure rage and fury.
Oh, my Lord. I can't. I know Tony'd do it. But then then he'd be like, nope, we're never watching AEW ever again.
Yeah, that's what he would say.
And so
I would want a camera on him as it happens so I could watch his reaction live.
Yeah, that's the 1 week we do a face reveal for the Court-Martail podcast.
My reaction that I had when John Cena made Kevin Owens tap out in 2015, where I just turned off the show.
Oh, that or when I watched Backlash 2020 and we got the turkey leg bowling ball, I broke Braun Strowman's car tag team quote unquote match with Akira Tozawa and Ninja Bicyclers. And I got 2/3 of the way through that going, yep, this show ain't worth it. And I shut the whole damn thing off.
Modern pro wrestling, ladies and
Pro
gentlemen.
wrestling.
It does nothing but trigger the hardcore fans into not watching anymore.
But at least we have a respectable women's champion in Thunder Rosa.
Yes. And she came out, she was kind of over the crowd. The crowd was kind of like, okay, yay. She didn't get a tepid, she got in between a tepid and an overreaction. You know what I mean?
I do. And
she cut a very fiery promo. It was a good promo. But what happened after that was really funny, because they had a promo set up on the screen of FTR talking. I imagine it came through well on TV. In the arena, the audio was off. So it was just them on a screen just motioning, and their mouths were moving, but no sound was coming out.
Oh, no.
And the crowd was like, where's the audio? And it was super awkward.
And this was definitely not sabotage of FTR whatsoever. To get them to be more irrelevant than they normally are, because the Young Bucks just had their 300th being the Elite. Aren't you excited?
But Sean, how are they not legitimate? I mean, they have those belts that look like cardboard.
Once again, to quote Skyler, shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! I'm gonna wring on your neck!
Shut up!
That's right.
Shut up!
Skyler, I miss you. 1 week he's gone, and I'm so lost without my co-host. But anyway, then we have, oh boy, wait a second. Now, you're telling me, I just read what this, you're telling me that the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament, first of all, what?
I know, I don't get it either.
What? Why? You had, what?
Because NXT had the Dusty Cup.
That was just about to say, which was also a women's tag. What?
Yeah.
Who would have said that either of those two would have been okay with this?
Listen. There's not only a women's Owen Hart tournament. There's also a men's Owen Hart tournament. They're going to happen at the same time.
Of course.
There's 2 Owen Hart tournaments.
Just like there were 2 Dusty Rhodes Classics.
It's almost like they're borrowing some other company's ideas.
It's almost like I want to vomit. It's the Bunny and Tony Storm.
Honestly, at this point, they should just go ahead and have an Eddie Guerrero Invitational.
Honestly, if they did that once and then just never talked about him again for the rest of the year, I'd be like, good, get it out of your system. Every match ends with a frog splash. Fuck it. Just do
The
it.
only way to win the match is to successfully...
There's 348 amigos. There's so many belts being tossed and playing dead. There's possums everywhere. Who cares? Just do it all. Just get it all out of your system like 1 month of the year. Eddie Guerrero month. Have at it. And then don't talk about him at all, ever, for the rest of the 11 months. I would be game for that.
Yeah. So then we had the Bunny versus Tony Storm. I was happy to see Tony Storm, but this was my least favorite match of the night because
what a horrible choice of opponent for Tony Storm's first match.
Not even that. She had a long competitive match with the Bunny.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to make it a competitive match, make it someone valuable.
In 3 minutes.
Because Tony Khan's whole thing when he gets a new toy is, let's see how long it can last. You know, it's like, it takes this wind-up toy, and you know how you're only supposed to wind it like maybe 2/3 of the way when you first get it? He's like, no, I'm going to max this thing out. Go as long as you can, then I might have you beat for a while, and then you're just not going to work, so I'm just going to pop you back in the closet. And so...
I mean, the right person won, but this should have only gone like 3 minutes. Tony Storm should have crushed the Bunny. And just to let you know, when the Bunny came out, my brother asked me verbatim, why the fuck is her name the Bunny? And I was like, oh, you non-wrestling fan, you casual, I pity you.
And then it's like, but what does it mean? It's like, I don't...
And I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Her name.
I don't know. Brick, where'd you get a hand grenade? I don't know. But in any case... Yeah, the Bunny, you know, she wasn't bad on Impact when she was Allie, but like ever since she came to AEW, it's been like a complete regression.
Yeah, and her biting at the camera is just cringe.
And she's never even been on Playboy, so what the hell's the point? She
Yeah.
dresses like it, but
This
she's...
is a squash match that should have. I mean, this was a squash match that went like 10 minutes, and I was like, this is 8 minutes longer than it should have been.
And now, then we get an interview for... Am I understanding this right? The next matchup for Thunder Rosa is going to be Nyla Rose.
Yep.
Because they both have Rose in their name. Isn't that funny?
Speaking of things that are happening again, there were more audio problems.
Fun. Production team, A grade.
Well, it was only for when Vicky Guerrero was talking. Thank God.
Well, okay, they bury FTR and then spare you from Vicky Guerrero. That's a balance.
But Nyla Rose's voice literally woke up the microphone. It was kind of funny.
That's kind of funny, actually.
It was really funny. Like, it wasn't working, and then Nyla was like, all right.
I'm gonna fuck you up.
And I was like, well.
That's good.
Well.
Wow.
I mean, that's how it rolls.
Sometimes, you know what? We all should admire her passion. And how intense she was.
And Nyla said the word bitch, and the entire crowd went, ooh, that's a not nice word.
Hurdy words. We don't like hurdy words.
That's a bad language word.
Abracadabra, bitch.
Yeah.
And then we get our main event, and what a weird main event.
Yeah. When the first thing Alex said when Andrade El Idolo walked out and took off his shirt, Alex was like, oh my God, he's so muscular. And
yeah, that's...
like, yeah.
If only there were women in the audience to get the appropriate reaction to him taking his shirt off.
Yeah, that's true. And I was like, Alex, this is what we call a brick shit house.
Yeah. That's that's the proper wrestling term for it.
Yeah, and then Darby came out, and Darby was over like crazy.
Did he have Sting with a flamethrower in the pre-tape where he just dives into a bus for no reason with a vehicle?
Unfortunately, no. There was no pre-tape. He just came out to his music. But while he was coming out, usually, you know, whenever someone's facing Darby Allin, he, like, interrupts their entrance with a dive.
Yep.
Well, this time, Andrade interrupted his entrance with a dive.
Oh! Look at all those storytellings.
Yeah, and then they brawled around the ring a little bit, not for too long, before the match started. Then they got in the ring and the match started, and they actually had a really good match. And then when Darby Allin started getting in control and put him in a submission hold, Andrade's men started coming out, and then Sting got into a fight with him, and there was a big brawl at ringside, and Darby Allin did the big splash on all the people. Then he got back in the ring, and Andrade powerbombed him into the corner and hit his DDT and won. So then they kept beating them up. And then the Hardys came out, and Jeff Hardy did his dance while he was making the save. I'm just kidding, he didn't, but it would have been funny if he did.
It wouldn't have been surprising if he did.
My brother, when the Hardys came out, because Alex, again, he didn't know that the Hardy Boys were in AEW. When they came out, Alex started marking out.
Nice.
It was awesome to see, and the crowd started going crazy too.
Nice.
But for some reason, there was a table in the middle of the ring, and no one ever used it.
Okay.
No one used it. It was just there.
It's the threat of turning this into hardcore bullshit that has got the folks on suspense. Has put the pins and needles into the legs of every AEW fan.
And I was like, oh, they're going to use the table, and they never did. And I was like, why do they even bring the table out?
Because the fans want tables, and they can't always get what you want. You got to buy the pay-per-view for that. Then we'll give you a fucking 100 of them.
Jeff Hardy hit the Swanton Bomb on one of the private party guys. He crushed this dude. Like, landed back first on the dude's chest. And everyone was like, oh, God, that must have sucked.
It sounds like it sucked.
And then the show went off the air, and everyone was cheering. And then while they were setting up for Rampage, the Hardy Boys cut a promo just talking to the South Carolina crowd. And they're like South Carolina, North Carolina boys, so the crowd was hot for them. And it was much more casual. And
for sure.
It was basically just, thank you for coming out. We love South Carolina. It's been too long since we've been here. Just, babyface stuff.
Very nice. Very nice. I wish that they weren't facing these scrubs.
The Butcher and the Blade in a tables match.
Yeah,
the worst tag team ever.
I wish that they were actually wrestling. Why are they wasting the Hardys on that instead of putting them like almost immediately into tag title relevance?
By the way, you want to know how over the Hardys were in this building, even to my little brother? They said that this might be their last run. The crowd, even Alex, booed.
There you go.
That's how you know.
Well, we've always said we watched it in WWE where Jeff Hardy was more over in those really weird times that he would show up than 3/4 of the people that are on the roster.
Oh, yeah.
They've made a name, they've had the name, and they're going to continue to be a name. Unfortunately, Matt's name got buried underneath the sand, or the ice machine, as it were.
At least he's not with Andrade. At least he's not with that family thing anymore. Andrade has completely taken over Matt Hardy's gimmick.
Yeah, good on him.
And now the faction's called the Andrade Family Office.
Great. Enjoy your...
I think it's the lamest thing.
Enjoy your hot wings or whatever it is you guys do.
But yeah, so in my opinion, there were a few stupid things on this Dynamite while I was there live, but most of the show was very enjoyable. It was a solid wrestling show with a few goofy AEW-isms here and there.
But all in all, it's a show where if you were at that show, would you want to go see a second and see what some of these people are doing going forward?
Oh, absolutely. And Alex said that he would like to go see another one. See,
now that right there, I think signifies the key difference that we've heard here, ladies and gentlemen. With Abizzle, we saw a show. We saw a stage show. And the one thing that stood out to me about that whole interview when we recorded it was when he said that there was no backing behind any of the storylines, and it wasn't presented, that they were, the moves were cool, but that's all you could say about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a show, and people were just running back and forth for no reason, and nothing made sense except Lesnar and Reigns. Where that kind of casual that's going, there's nothing that's bringing me back. Like, he even said, boy, they don't make it like they used to. And here we are with AEW, and yes, they have problems. And yes, Tony Khan is wholly unlikable. But at the same time, they're at least doing enough right that people might want to catch on. If they don't do stuff that's ridiculously dumb, which unfortunately they do, they might actually have a shot at this if they wouldn't keep shooting themselves in the foot.
With all their problems, the main thing is AEW feels like it's pro-fan, whereas WWE feels anti-fan.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the biggest difference.
And
they have their problems, but one feels like, let's make our fans happy, where WWE's like, we hate our fans.
WWE's like, we don't need our fans because we're making money in spite of the fact that we don't have a product that's worth watching. And that's the difficult thing with them.
Even though something as simple as Justin Roberts interacting with the crowd, I doubt that anyone interacted with the crowd that much at the WWE show.
Yeah. Oh, no, without a doubt. The fans are like they weren't even there.
Yeah.
They were there, but they weren't even there.
WWE so badly wishes that the Thunderdome was still around.
I genuinely think that they were sad when they had to bring fans back into the building.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No doubt.
Because then they were able to just toss the fans overboard like they had so desperately wanted to do for years. And they're like, oh, we get the opportunity to do it? I mean, oh no, we're so sad. Oh, the fans are the only reason we do this.
Yeah.
We got it built yet? All right, cool. Hey, you guys want to sign away your rights forever and be on this video screen? Come and do it. Cool. We're going to use you in perpetuity throughout the universe and never need to call on you again.
And it's going to look like actual garbage on TV for a year.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, a very fascinating introspection into two very different worlds. With two casual fans and two smarks, and you and I.
I feel like Abizzle would have loved the show I went to.
I feel like I would have actually enjoyed the show that you went to.
I have a question.
What's that?
When Abizzle went to SmackDown, was it just SmackDown, or was there any other show that they filmed?
The only thing additionally they had was a dark match with RK Bro against Alpha Academy, and they left and didn't see it so they could beat the traffic.
Why do they even have the brand split? Those are Raw people.
Because reasons.
I hate this company.
I mean, they are unifying the belts, so that might be a sign of things to come.
Oh, God.
But
anyway, so my point is, Abizzle saw one show, and he, from what I hear, was just completely indifferent to the entire experience.
With the exception of Brock Lesnar just beating up a whole bunch of security guards for long after he had to, there was no reason to really watch the show or be engaged with it. There was a couple things that were like, oh, okay.
Me and my brother watched 3 separate shows, and we were engaged and entertained, and the crowd was engaged and entertained throughout all 3 shows. The crowd did not get tired.
We just need proper consistency. And also for Tony Khan to just fuck off of television. And we get those 2 things, and this company could have it. They have the tools. In a different way, I said this about WWE, could they have the tools because they've had the tools for years. AEW has the tools, they just don't have the guy on top to be able to refine the tools to make the show what it genuinely could be. And I think that's the most frustrating thing, because it sounds like this show might have been worth watching. But then next show, you're going to see tax up Joey Janela's not there anymore. But you're going to see Sonny Kiss slapping, I don't know, a gerbil and just pile driving it into a set of thumbtacks. Because Tony Khan wants to please everybody. So hopefully,
smack my gerbil match.
Hopefully, well, let's not give him any ideas here. So, Josh, again, I really do appreciate you coming on and just giving us your take on AEW Dynamite. 2 live shows, that's what we've seen, and now we got to watch WrestleMania, bud.
God, I want to. Can I just kill myself and opt out now?
Well, this might be it. This might be it. But folks, you're gonna have to stay tuned for when that happens.
WrestleMania ever.
But we got night 1 and night 2 reviews coming at you next week. Josh, again, thank you so much. Really appreciate having you on this interview and on the podcast.
Arrivederci.
I read the dirt sheets indeed.
I was thinking the same thing.
Good night, everyone. Well, there you have it, folks. 2 interviews, 2 points of view, and far as the fans' perspective is concerned, it looks like one company has the upper hand, but it certainly doesn't look like we've got a very clear front runner when it comes to sensible, consistent professional wrestling. But maybe tonight will change that. I'm doubtful, but maybe it will. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of the Court-Martail Podcast. We are now ready to take our first commercial break. As I mentioned at the very end of the JoshAgeddon interview, next week we have 2 shows that are landing, one on Saturday and one on Sunday. Basically a week after both shows, recounting WrestleMania Day 1, what we thought about it, which is going to be myself and either JoshAgeddon or Skyler Greenberg, depending on which one of us, who draws the shortest straw. And then, of course, night 2 with the other member of that entourage. And, of course, we've got the notes coming in from the third party. So stay tuned. A lot of reviews coming. It's the biggest weekend of the year, allegedly. We'll have to see what it's all about. But until that time, thank you very much for listening. And we will be right back right after this.